Paranormal Dimensions is a regular feature on Mondays on the Paranormal UK radio network.
Good day to you. This is Sir Patrick Moore, and you're listening to the Paranormal UK Radio Network, the UK's biggest paranormal radio network, and this is Paranormal Dimensions with David Young.
Hello and welcome to another show on Paranormal Dimensions. Thank you for that great intro, Sir Patrick. Still floating around in the great ether out there. Glad you're managing to catch the show occasionally, and I'm pleased to hear that you're still listening to it. Right, today should be a pretty interesting show. We've got a return visit from Mr. Spyros Melaris, the creator of the Alien Autopsy hoax video, which was out in the mid-90s. There's been quite a few things that have occurred over the last, probably the last couple of years really, but the last year or so have been really quite interesting. Anyway, let's waste no more time. I'm sure this is going to be very fascinating.
Going to be definitely interesting, something you don't want to miss.
Hello Spyros, welcome to the show.
Hello David, thank you. Nice to be back.
Yeah, nice. It was around about May last time you were on the show. We did a two-parter. Which turned into a two-parter. Then I did a remix version and put both the shows together for the YouTube release again. But how have you been anyway?
Yes, good. Apart from a little bit of the COVID, but apart from that, in good spirits.
I know you were quite ill with it, weren't you, for a few weeks?
Yeah.
Are you over it completely now?
I'm in the trail end of it now. I mean, I've got they're just things that have happened after it. I mean, they're nothing to do with COVID, but because I was in bed for just over 10 weeks.
Wow, yeah.
No exercise. I've now got swollen feet and swollen ankles and swollen lower legs. So I'm just getting, it's just a side effect. It's just nothing, But the COVID's gone, thank God. My chest is clear.
I mean, that's the thing, but let's have a little chat about the COVID. I mean, some people think it's some sort of a fake thing. I think obviously there is a COVID virus going around, but you do hear people saying there's no such thing as the COVID virus, but obviously you know from first hand that because you've experienced it.
You know what? It's I laugh at these conspiracy theories because obviously in the alien community, in the UFO community, we have a few of those. Anyway, but they seem to be everywhere, right? If there's a conspiracy to be had, because 9/11, whether it's nothing is real, everything's a conspiracy.
Yeah.
So there's always going to be somebody there. And the other day, I was online and somebody was saying that it's all a big hoax and it's all this and it's all that, and I've just been through hell, right?
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie to you. It nearly got me, right? It got to the point where I couldn't breathe.
No, I know you were very ill with it, yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't breathe. I was drowning in air, right? It's the most terrible feeling ever. And I just wrote them a very simple little, and I said, look, I've just had 11 weeks of hell, right? I've had flu before. I've even had viral meningitis before. Right, which is serious, right? But I've never had anything like this before, and I said, and so I assure you, I didn't imagine it, but I said to him, but let's go one step further. When I went to the hospital, there were queues of people in the corridors, all very sick. The beds were full, and the staff were working full speed, covered from head to toe, and trying to help everybody. Are you telling me these are all actors? So all the doctors and all the nurses were all acting, and all the people in the corridor are all actors as well, for my benefit. Right?
Yeah.
All right. Right. Now, next thing, my sister, my younger sister, she also had it. Okay, she had it 4 days before me, and I got it from her because she works in 999 calls on the ambulance service.
Right. So that's where you actually got it. Yeah, I get you.
Yeah. Now, she was gonna get it, full stop, because she was picking up to 13 or 14 people a day and taking them to hospital in her one ambulance. Imagine all the other ambulances, okay? Right. So she would come home every night and tell me about what she'd been through that day. And all of those people have to be actors as well, right? And my sister's got to be in on the conspiracy as well, right? It's not a conspiracy. It's not a hoax. It's a genuine thing. Here's where people don't understand what it is, okay? I'm in a really unique position because I got the virus, and I also saw 3 other people in my family who got the virus, okay? So I was able to monitor different age groups and how they all got it. So my sister, who's 10 years younger than I am, had it for 4 weeks. And after 4 weeks, and it was quite severe, she had quite heavy symptoms, but at the end of the 4 weeks, she was fit, and on the 5th week, she was back to work. My nephews, who are 24 and 27 years old, and very fit, okay, so they both play football and sports, and they're like cats, you know, they're really all muscle.
Yeah.
Right, okay, no, they're just very, very fit and agile, okay, and young, okay. One of them had it for 4 days, and the other one had it for 7 days. Okay? Came out of it, no problem, just like having a cold. So it affected all of us differently. It must be the same strain that we got, because we're all in the same house.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? So it's how your body is fit. Now I'm up in the years next to this lot, and although I'm quite fit, and I eat well, and, you know, I don't drink, I don't smoke. If I do drink, I drink the occasional drink to be sociable, but I don't drink regularly. And I think that stood me, that helped me a lot, because if I had a heart condition or a kidney problem or a liver problem or whatever, I would have been dead right now.
Yeah, it probably would have finished you off, yeah.
It would have finished me off. What really affected me was I got genuine flu, like ordinary flu, the week before. So I was already depleted, having gone through quite a heavy flu. But it was just flu. None of the COVID symptoms. My sister got the first symptom, she lost her sense of taste and smell. That was the first thing that happened to her. And then one thing after the other. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. I wonder what it's like to lose your sense of taste and smell, right?
Yeah.
And 4 days later, it happened to me. And I thought, oh, here we go, right? And it's been hard. I won't lie to you. It's been hard. I got to a point where I had coughing fits, where I was coughing outwards but not breathing inwards. So between the gaps of the coughs, I wasn't able to breathe in because I was another cough was coming, and you realise you're going to faint.
Yeah.
So because I'm compos mentis, I wasn't, you know, out of my face or anything. I was compos mentis. As soon as I felt that I was going to faint, I lowered myself down to the floor and fainted. You know, but carefully, because I could be, if you fall, you can hit your head on anything, you know.
Yeah.
You know. So, I also attribute my training as a scuba diver, helped me a lot, because, I know how not to panic when you can't breathe.
Yeah. And also your lungs must be pretty strong as well if you've done that.
Yeah, I'm as I say, I'm quite fit. I'm not, you know, and I can see how, if my mum got it, we wouldn't have my mum here today. And we did shield her very well. She didn't leave the house. We didn't mix with her. The last time I saw my mum, when I've seen her recently, but when I got ill, the last time I saw her was through the window. I dropped her off and shopping, and it was through the window, and that was it. And I didn't see her again for 11 weeks, 12 weeks.
Yeah.
So there you go. That's my.
Yeah, it's been very hard for people. I mean, I certainly think that I do know that there's some sort of a virus going around. I think it's where it's actually come from. I think is the puzzling part. I mean, I don't know if you had the flu jab, but I've heard recently. Well, I just suspect about the flu jab a little while back, because my wife and I, Jill and I, we had the flu jab, and about a week after that, we came down with the most awful, I would say, flu symptoms. We were both in, one after the other, we were both in bed sort of for a few days, and we had coughs and things that last for months. When Jill's still got a little bit of her cough because she has asthma. She's been struggling with this cough for it was 6 months now. Whether it was anything to do with the COVID, I don't know. But all I can... Well, I suspect it was something to do with the flu jab, and it makes me not want to have the flu jab this year.
No, but you do know that it's down to, a lot of it is down to knowledge. Okay, I've learnt an awful lot because I had to. Right? I was suffering and thinking, what am I going to do here? I've got to know what I've got to do next.
Yeah.
So I studied it. Because there was all sorts of talk, whether or not this is a man-made virus, whether or not it's not a man-made virus. As far as I'm concerned, and I'm just looking at it from a logical, sensible point of view, okay? History tells us that viruses come and go, just like this one. They kill lots of people, and this is how they behave.
Yeah. They usually kill off the weakest, don't they?
Yeah, that's right.
To be blunt about it, that's
but that's what it is. It's exactly what it is. But here's the thing with vaccines. There are two types of vaccines. There's a live vaccine, and there's the one that isn't live, and the two differences is the live vaccine is more expensive. It needs to be kept in a fridge. It has a shelf life, and what it is, it actually keeps the virus alive, so that when it's injected, actually, that's a wrong way. It's a wrong word. Let's say. Because a virus is not a living thing. It keeps it active. Let's call it active rather than alive. But what it does is that they inject it into your body, and they're giving you the virus, but in a diluted form. And the idea is that your body will be able to attack and beat a diluted version of the virus than if it hit you properly.
Yeah.
Okay. So they are giving you the flu. Right. So some people just get it of mild symptoms, and the body gets the antibodies, builds the antibodies, and gets over it. But other people suffer a lot heavier, and some people die.
Yeah.
You don't hear about it, but people, old people used to die when they used to give them to them, their pensions, and they die.
Well, every year people die of the flu, don't they? In their thousands.
But when you give somebody a vaccine and that's what kills them, that's not a good thing. But the other version of the vaccine, which is not the live version, okay, that one doesn't need to go into the fridge. It doesn't need to, it hasn't got a shelf life. It's a lot cheaper, and it's actually kinder, because what it does, it doesn't give you the virus, it gives you the antibodies.
Yeah.
It's a very different thing. It gives you what you need to fight the virus, not the virus itself. Okay? The other one gives you the virus, and your body's got to build up the antibodies to fight the virus. So that's the first misconception, okay? The ones that they're giving now, where you go to the chemist and they can just give you it in the chemist, right? That's the one that hasn't got a shelf life. It's the cheaper version. You can just walk into a chemist and get it, they give it to you. So that one's actually the better one. The other thing that you hear, which is a misconception with regards to the COVID, is you hear that there might be, it might return. Okay.
Well, let's hope
not. No, but I said to the doctor, when I was in the hospital, I said, so once I've got it now and I've beaten it, I'm now immune, right? And he said, well, in theory, you'll be immune, but another strain could come along and then you won't be immune to that. Right? So that worried me, and I thought, okay, well, how quickly does it mutate? So I looked at it. Now, historically, everything that you can look at right back to, the Spanish flu and even beyond that, it takes about 10 years to mutate a new version of, and we've had a few of them, but they don't just happen. They don't just come straight back. So then we heard about this second spike, that you can get it again. And I couldn't understand that. And my sister explained it to me. And it's very interesting. I'll just do this and then we'll get on to the
Yeah, sure, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure everyone's sick of hearing about the virus, but I think it's important to hear from your point of view anyway.
Yeah. But it's very interesting though. Here's the thing. This virus, the COVID-19, has a mutation period that we were told about, which is 14 days. That's why they wanted us to be isolated for 14 days, so that if we get it, we get it, and if we, and we're staying away from people that might get it from us. Okay. But here's a bit of information that we didn't understand. It's 14 days per virus. Okay. So if you get infected today, you've got a 14-day incubation period. What that means is it stays in your body undetected. So your body doesn't know it's ill. And it builds up how many virus it can get. And what a virus does, in order for a virus to be alive, it has to take over a living cell. So it goes into your body and it actually hijacks a living cell and it swallows it. And now the only reason it's alive is because it's got a living cell within it. Okay. So it becomes alive. That's the only time it can split and become another one and duplicate and multiply. Okay. So, a normal virus, let's say, SARS, that would go into your body, take over the cell, and then the body would say, hold on a minute, we've got a problem, we've got an imposter taking over our cells, we need to attack it. And it would create lots and lots of white blood cells, it would go straight to it and attack it, and our cells swallow the virus. So the virus doesn't go anywhere, it gets taken over. So the virus stays within the cells, and that's how you got the immunity, because the virus, it knows how to beat it. Okay, I'm simplifying it here. So it knows how to beat it, and therefore you've got an immunity to that virus now. Now, when the virus takes over and beats our cells, then obviously we're losing the battle, and eventually we will die because the virus wins the day. So what our new virus, COVID-19, does is it takes over the cell, but it doesn't make any noise about it. It doesn't alert the body. It just goes in, swallows the cell, and stays quiet. Doesn't act, doesn't duplicate, just stays quiet. And it lays dormant. And the body thinks that one cell belongs to it. It's one of our soldiers. It's the good soldier. Okay? And then overnight, over 14 days, what happens is they all become a Trojan horse.
Yeah, it's like a Trojan horse, isn't it?
Yeah. It opens up and suddenly goes bang. And you're so inundated with virus that it takes you over and beats you. Okay? That's what this does. So, here's the bit that we didn't understand. It's 14-day incubation period per cell. So if you get infected today, that cell has got a 14-day incubation period. But if you get infected again in 2 days' time, there's another 14 days.
Sure.
Starting from that moment, not from the first 14 days. So you can be infected and dormant up to 27 days. Right? So if you get the spike and 14 days you get the virus, you can get a second hit because you've still got the virus building in your body for another 14 days. Okay? So, that was the ambiguity. People didn't know how long it would remain dormant for. So if you're unlucky, you could be up to 27 days. And if you're old and weak with another ailment, you've got whatever it is you might have, the first one you might be able to contain, but when it hits you the second time, you're going to go. Yeah. It's too much, right? So there you are. That's COVID-19 for you.
Yeah, scary stuff. It's really. Yeah. I mean, as I say, I did go for a period. I thought, is this all some sort of a big plan or something going on?
Yeah, there is a bit.
You still do have these things, but is there something else going on as well? But.
Well, you know what? Let's liken this to the alien autopsy. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll tell you why there's a similar situation. COVID-19 is real. Okay. The Roswell Incident is real. Okay. So let's do a parallel comparison. Roswell, something happened in Roswell in 1947. Absolutely 100%. Okay. That's not disputed. Right. On the other side, COVID is definitely a virus and it's definitely killing people and it's definitely happening. That's undisputed.
Yeah.
That's definitely happening. Okay. Then what you get is on the alien autopsy side, you get some idiot produces a film, right, and puts it out and says, here we go, that's evidence of the Roswell crash. Okay. So although the alien autopsy is not real, you give it credence because there is a real foundation it's built on. Okay? Let's go back to the COVID side. COVID is real, and then what the governments do, they start saying, do you know what? We've got an opportunity here to, and it is a terrible thing what's going on, right? Which is, we can cull a few pensioners. They're already on their way out, and we can save a load of money.
Yeah.
So we're going to give priority treatment to the young. And if you're over age and there's no hospital bed, unfortunately, you're not going to get the treatment.
Yeah.
And that's like I don't know, an honest way to be dishonest.
Yeah, it's like a double-edged sword with it, isn't it?
Yeah. But it achieves a lot because if you consider as a government what you achieve, there's a number of things that went on here. First of all, we can control the masses, right? So what we can do is we can tell them what to do in the name of being safe, and they have to follow suit. So how do we gain bigger control on the masses? Well, what we do is we take away their livelihood, make them dependent on us. Okay? Now, I'm being sinister now.
No, you're going the way that I've been thinking anyway, you know.
Yeah, but it's sinister, but this is the ultimate goal would be this. If you are one of the very few multi-billionaires in the world that want power, and you're working hand in hand with a government who also wants ultimate power, then what you do is you say, right, we want to control the money. So how do we do that? Well, first of all, we'll take it away. And then what we'll do is we'll say, let's not have money. Let's have this digital way of paying for things. And then we can control. We know where they go. We know what they spend on.
Yeah.
And the most important part, which is the scariest part, is if we don't like someone, we can switch them off.
Yeah. I mean, that is well, we've seen it in movies, haven't we? Where suddenly they get burnt and they can't get access to their credit cards or whatever. Or their credit card, it doesn't work.
Yeah. And suddenly you switch them off, right? And then they might have all the money in the world and they've got nothing.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's a dangerous thing. That's why Bitcoin happened, right? Bitcoin happened because then the people control the currency, right? That was the idea behind Bitcoin, and that's why I have Bitcoins as well as other bank accounts, because you can't trust that just out of pure just things going wrong, right? Computers crash, all sorts of stuff happen. I found myself in a shop with one credit card and the thing doesn't work. There's money in it, but it's not working for some reason. So now what I do is I have debits and credit cards and different. My wallet's full of cards because I can't go out and not have something to pay with, right? Because a computer's gone down, or or something's wrong, or my account got hacked, or whatever that reason might be. You've got to have a fallback position, right? So with that also goes hand in hand with, well, if you put all your faith in normal currency, then they can switch that off. They can control that. So there is a little bit of that going on, and it has been going on for a while, but it's got nothing to do with COVID, right? COVID is a natural occurrence as far as I'm concerned, and they've manipulated it to say, you know what?
They're using it for their own ends,
Yeah, here's a great opportunity. We've got the Roswell Incident. Let's make a fake film and see where it goes.
Yeah.
We'll have a bit of fun, right? From their point of view is, okay, let's tell them they can't go to work, right? Then they won't be making money. And guess what? Small businesses are going to close, right? So all of a sudden we've got workers. We haven't got people with power. We've got workers. So their prospect of becoming powerful is diminished. Because if you leave someone like me alone, I will become powerful because I'll just keep creating stuff.
Yeah.
Right? if you say, well, sorry, your business has got to close now. I mean, I lost a fortune. I've got an entertainment business, right? So that business is gone. Yeah. And I had artists booked, you know, with big money.
I was going to talk to you about that as well. But
So that's going to go to the way, you know, to the side, and we've had to reinvent ourselves. And that's what I say. Somebody like me, I'm not blowing my own trumpet, but I'm just saying that the way that I work is outside of the box, right? I think on my feet and do things that are what needs to be done. I've been running a live 2-hour show on Facebook every night for the last 97 shows now, where our 100th show will be on July the 1st.
Wow. Yeah.
So, right. Now, I've now got sponsors want to be part of it.
Excellent.
I've got, so all of a sudden there's an income coming from something online.
Yeah.
Where it would have been in the theatre. It would have been somewhere else, right?
Yeah.
So we've had to maneuver in a different way. What I think is going on here is COVID isn't as bad as we've been told it is. And I'll tell you what I mean by that.
Yeah. I mean, it's bad when you get it, but the chances of you getting it is quite remote, I think is...
Well, I think it's not so much remote. We're all going to get it. There's no question of that. We're all going to get it. Some of us have had it and not known we've had it, right? If my nephews had no knowledge of COVID and my sister and myself, they would have had a cold and that would have been it.
Yeah.
All right? But they've had it.
Yeah.
So here's what I think we could have done that wasn't suitable to the powers that be. What we could have done is we could have said, okay, anyone under 30 years old who is fit with no underlying ailments can roam around free. Okay? And good luck, you're going to get it, but you're going to get over it as well. Okay? If you're over 60, and especially if you've got any underlying illnesses or diseases, whatever, you must isolate. Now, what that would have meant was the shops, the restaurants, wouldn't have closed, right? They would have stayed open, and we would have just simply shielded the people that needed shielding. And that way we could control how quickly people got the disease that needed a hospital bed. That's the key.
Yeah.
Right? If you don't need a hospital bed, you're not going to be a problem to the NHS. You're not going to be a problem to society.
Yeah.
And the more people that get the COVID virus, the bigger the immunity becomes.
Yeah, of course, it's the herd mentality, thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So it would have been a good idea just to let the youth run free. Yeah. Right? But no, that's not what they decided to do. They wanted to control completely for whatever reason. And it does seem to be a number of political diversions that were being thrown. We had our good old Brexit, right? That took all our attention, right?
Yeah.
And then after that, bang.
Yeah, just when you thought it was all over.
Yeah, we get hit with COVID, right? And then as soon as COVID starts to taper out, bang, Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? We're being diverted away from what's going on under the surface. Because I've got so many black friends who haven't got a problem.
Yeah.
Right? I don't have a problem with anybody.
No, me either. I mean, everyone matters, don't they?
Yeah, but the thing is, speaking to, and I know, listen, one of my best friends from school was black, and he's not with us anymore. I mean, he actually died from a big illness, but we used to go out together, a couple of lads, school days and stuff. And if we wanted to go into a bar, we weren't able to go in if he was there. Right? And I thought it's just we were too young or whatever. When I was on my own or with another white guy, it just seemed there was more availability to us. We could get into places. We could do more stuff. We didn't get stopped by the police as much. This is a very real issue, right? So when they say Black Lives Matter, of course all lives matter, but that's not the point. It's not a competition. It's not like... What it is what they're saying is... they've actually used the wrong catchphrase, right? What they're saying is, as well, Black Lives Matter too.
Yeah.
Right? As well. Right? But just saying Black Lives Matter opens up an argument.
Yeah, they should have put an also on the end of it.
Yeah, but because it opens an argument, and it's not an argument. It's there shouldn't be an argument. Do Black Lives Matter? Yes, they do. That's it. That's the end of the conversation. If you want an argument, you would say, well, all lives matter. Now you've got an argument, and it opens up a can of worms because they're missing the point. Those people that say that are missing the point. Yeah. If you're a black man, you know what you're living with on a daily basis, right? We've come forward leaps and bounds, right? Equal opportunity is a lot better. Equal opportunity is a lot better, and equality is a lot better, right? In every angle. But I've got black friends who are lawyers and doctors and very successful family people, right? Who break the mold of what some people will have you believe a black man is, right? And it's just, that's the racism, right? They don't see all the success that the black community has created, right? We even had a black president in America, right? And it's kind of washed away. It wasn't a big, it is, there's a lot of equality, but where the underlying inequality is invisible. And you have to be a black person to see it, because we don't see it. We're living our lives, and we don't see a lot of that prejudice. Yeah,
and you don't really give it a lot of thought. I agree with you.
No, because we're not living that world. We're not living that life where we think we're being upstanding citizens, and we accept everyone for who they are. And what we don't see colour, we see good or bad, right?
Exactly.
That's it. That's it. If you're a good bloke, you're my friend. That's it. Finished.
That's right. I mean, you get scumbags in all types of society, don't you? White, black, yellow, green, whatever.
Yeah.
I think the unfortunate thing we've been left with, though, is that it seems like there's a faction out there that think, well, if you're white, you're racist. And unfortunately, that's what we've been left with, isn't it?
Well, let's look at that, because like I say, this is where our little conspiracy theory comes in. Okay. If you look at a lot of the protesters, they're white, okay, and they are banging the drum, Black Lives Matter, and they're showing support, and it's very good. But then when you ask them, what is it you actually want? Okay, what is it we're not doing that you would like? Because let's fix it. Let's fix this problem. What is it that you want? I haven't had a straight answer to that question.
No.
Right. Because if you go for a job, okay, I've been an employer most of my life, okay. When I ran my studio, I had 40 people working for me, and when I had a job going, if there was a disabled person or a black person as one of the candidates, if I could give them the job, I would over the others, right? Now that's prejudice.
Yeah. That's
an unfair advantage, but I knew that I had to, as an employer, be seen to be doing the right thing. Yeah. I would do the right thing. I would do the right thing anyway, right? The best person for the job would get the job. I don't care if it's a woman. I had gay people working for me. I mean, lesbians and gay men. I had Moonies. You've heard of the Moonies? They're a religious cult.
Yes, I have heard of the Moonies. Yeah, okay. I don't really know much about it, but I have heard the term. Yeah.
Yeah. I had Moonies working for me. They're the loveliest people, by the way. Yeah. They have a very lovely ethos of living.
Well, it's like you say. I mean, if people can do the job, why shouldn't? I mean, it doesn't matter what their religion or sexual orientation is. It doesn't matter.
That's right. But I'm just saying how diverse it was, right? I had black people, Asian people. I had all sorts, right? Because if they were good at their job, they got the job.
Yeah.
Right? And that was as simple as that. But as an employer, I'm just being honest with you. I'm telling you the other side of the flip coin. I've got a memo on my desk from my manageress who says we really should be employing a handicapped person.
Yeah.
Right? I'm being told we really should be looking to employ a handicapped person. Right? Or two, or whatever. Right? Because it was part of what the government was telling us we had to do. So we have come forward in leaps and bounds because employers are making strides and efforts to make sure that everyone's looked after, everyone's got an equal opportunity, everybody's got, so we have been making those strides.
Yeah.
So what is it the black community is lacking, right? Well, the latest thing are the statues. You know, they want to get rid of the statues. Now, that's a real can of worms.
It is, absolutely. Oh, it's really been winding me up, actually, all that.
Well, it's a can of worms because as an artist, I know an artist sculpted that statue.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
That's the way I look at it. It's a piece of art.
Yeah. Yeah, but forget who it is. Forget who the person is for the second.
Yeah.
That's the problem. The problem is this person was a racist, and we're celebrating them. Let's park that for a minute because we can correct that in a second,
Yeah.
right? But an artist sculpted this statue. Then what you have to do is you've got to mould the statue and then you've got to cast it in bronze. That's thousands of pounds to do, right? And then you erect this statue and it's perfectly fine at the time it went up because it was an older time. It was a time when slavery wasn't illegal. So you're not breaking the law. If you're going to do that, you're going to go back to Henry VIII and say you're a paedophile, you married a 12-year-old. You know, how far do you go?
Yeah, exactly.
Do you go back to the Roman times? You go back to ancient Greece and
start pulling the pyramids down. Yeah.
Yeah. What do? You can't. You've got to say, listen, the past is the past. Whether we celebrate it or not is the issue.
Yeah.
Right. So if you've got a statue of Coulson in Bristol and he was a slave trader,
not anymore,
as well as being a businessman in other businesses, right? And he built your town hall, your library, your school, your hospital, and a lot of the town, right? And you're saying, well, he did it with slave money. Well, that's okay. That might be true too. But are you going to take down all those buildings as well?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
No,
the town wouldn't be what it is without that, would it? You know, without him.
So, but he was a slave trader, and that's offensive. So let's get rid of that. Let's not celebrate that. If we're going to take down his statue, which I don't mind, let's put it in a museum. Yeah. Let's put a plaque and say, this man was this. This is what he did, right? And so that historians can go back and say, okay, we haven't wiped out history. We've just learnt from it. Okay. But to take it down as a group of people without asking society, throw it into the river, that's a criminal offence.
Yeah.
Right? And that's not how we do things.
No.
They said, but we asked them to remove it and they just ignored us. Well, no. There's no evidence that you asked them. And if you did ask them and they ignored you, let's think about why they ignored you, because there's always a good reason. And getting back to the art, okay, if we're going to start destroying art, okay, and censoring art, we're going to censor TV. We can't have this TV show. We can't have that TV show.
Oh wow, yeah, that is a big kind of worms, yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna censor films, and all of a sudden, this is the bit that tipped me over the edge, right? Because I've just told you I am pro Black Lives Matter. I am pro that movement. I want equality, right? So I'm not against anybody, and I'm certainly not a racist. But here's something that really upset me. I read that they want to remove all the white Jesuses because it represents white supremacy.
Yeah.
Right? Now that's another whole different ball game, right? If you're now going to remove all the white Jesuses, are you going to knock down the churches? The crucifixes? What are you going to do? What about stained glass windows? Are you going to get rid of all of those as well? And what about the icons painted inside the church? Yeah. If we left the church, if we said the church is okay, let's leave that. Are we now going to paint over all these hand-painted icons? Where does this end?
I know, it's endless.
Because, yeah. And what about the offence that you're going to be causing to Christians? You're offended on one side, but they're offended now on another. Is your offence more valuable than their offence? Right? So this is what a government needs to weigh up. If we remove this statue, we're going to be offending one load of people, and we're going to appease another load of people. It's been there forever. It's upsetting to black people that see it celebrating somebody who sold slaves. So why don't we take it away, put it in a museum and use it as an educational tool, as a part of history, and not celebrate that? And I think that's a good compromise. But I don't think that the white people that are protesting, this is my point, will accept it, because their mission is not to support Black Lives Matter. It's to keep the chaos going and divert the attention. And that's what my theory is.
Yeah, they're like a bit of a renter mob, aren't they, a lot of them?
Yeah. Most of the black people that I know, well, all of the black people that I know, and most of the black people that I've listened to on recordings and in the, you know what? They're actually very, very lovely, very, very logical people. Yeah. And they are not as upset as the white people that I've heard. And all they want is they want this underlying, racism, which they've seen in the police force. Not every policeman. It's one policeman.
That's right, yeah.
And you know what? You can fix it very easily, because let's punish that policeman really heavily, right? Really heavily. Let's punish him and show other policemen, listen, this is what's going to happen. You need to follow protocol, and you need to do the right thing. And black people need to help themselves as well, because on the flip side, we've seen policemen on cameras saying, please put your hands above your head. No. Why do you want me to put my hands above my head? Yeah. Right? Don't argue with the man. He's got a gun. Put your hand in your head, right? But they get to a point where this happens every day, and they think, you know what? Enough's enough. What are you going to do now? Shoot me? I'm not doing it. Right? This is where the problem is. So it's antagonism. It's, you know.
And also, the policemen that are involved, certainly in America, they face all sorts of scumbags every day. No matter what colour, I'm not talking about any colour, white, black or yellow. They're facing all sorts of scumbags every day. And I think they come to a point where they may be classing everybody as a scumbag, even if they're not.
You know what? If you're in a country where anyone can have a gun, right? Yeah. And you've got a gun, and you go out to an incident, and the person you go out to, doesn't matter what, like you say, what colour they are. It could be a white guy, right? Yeah. If you go out and this white guy is hiding his hands and not doing as he's told, you could be forgiven for being a little bit trigger happy. Yeah. Because you're going to shoot him before he shoots you.
Well, you don't know what if he's reaching inside his jacket, you don't know what he's going for, do you?
No. So you could be forgiven for panicking. Because let's face it, right? This is a normal person. He's got a kid or two at home with a wife. He wants to go home, right? After his shift. Yeah. After his shift. And he's got some guy who could have a gun, right? So it's a case of, I've asked him 3 times, I'm going to shoot him. It's going to be me or him. It's not going to be me, right? Well, that's one routine. What happened to Floyd is a different thing completely. And I think there was another agenda between the two of them. Yes. And I think that we can say that Floyd's a lovely guy, and he wasn't. He was a criminal, right? Let's not hide that.
Yeah, he was known. He was well known, wasn't he?
He was known by the police, but this one bad cop thought, you know what? I'm not taking any shit from you. He was wrong to do that, and he was wrong to do what he did, and he needs to be punished for that, because he abused his power.
Well, apparently they knew each other from a nightclub. They worked security on a nightclub.
Well, yeah,
so I understand it.
Yeah, I don't know if that's true. I've heard that, but I don't know if it's true. Whether they knew each other before, but let's not mince our words. If you're a policeman and you see the same criminals on the streets, you know them, right? You're very familiar with them. You know who the drug dealer is. You know who the guy who's got form. You know them because you've pulled them up before, right? So this guy Floyd, he held a pregnant woman, hostage at gunpoint, stealing from her. So he's got form. He's done prison for it.
Well, apparently he just didn't. I think didn't he pistol whip her as well or something, as I understand. But so we don't know the full story behind all that. But
no, but he did have a criminal record. Several times. And that's enough, right? The detail doesn't matter. He's a known criminal. Now, whether or not he was no longer a criminal, that's another story, and we should never treat people by their past. But when you're a policeman, that's what you have to do.
Yeah.
Right? So there's a lot of ambiguity. Let's face it, okay? There is one bad cop every now and again, and there mustn't be any.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And that's all there is to it.
That's right.
And let's throw the baby out with the bathwater, because it's not about every policeman. This whole thing about defunding the police force, that's just lunacy.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just lunacy.
But there's a lot of politics involved in that, isn't there?
Yeah. why would you want to defund the police force if you were a straight law-abiding citizen?
Yeah.
It shouldn't bother you, right, if the police are there. But if you're a criminal, well, great, that'd be a great idea. Let's get rid of the police.
Yeah.
Right?
I know.
Anyway.
It is crackers, I know. Anyway, I guess we ought to go back into the alien autopsy. It is actually it's the big issues that you've been talking about, and I think they're important issues, and I think we needed to maybe get a little bit of that out on the air there. But the reason we were going to have this show, and we're still having the show, is the alien autopsy, fact or fiction. You were going to be doing a presentation in Woodbridge in Suffolk. We were going to be talking about, we still are.
Yeah.
We were going to be talking about how what was going to be planned for the show and, your book and that's coming out and everything. Unfortunately, we've had to, postpone that show. I say we. I mean, because you and I discussed it in the first place. And we. And we decided to make it May next year now.
Yeah.
And it's May the 30th, which is a bank holiday. So hopefully we'll be well past all this virus stuff, and we'll all be back, hopefully all back to normal, and everyone can sit with each other and mix and everything with each other. And we should be able to, or you should be able to give your presentation, Spyros. Hopefully.
Yes. Hopefully, yes. I think it was the right thing to do, given the circumstances. I'm not buying tickets for anything, are you? So
that's exactly right. I mean, we're not planning to go anywhere now. That's it.
No.
Obviously people would have been trying to, if they were coming from a distance, they may have been booking hotels. Hotels have been closed. Nobody knew what we were doing. And obviously, I sold a few tickets and I've refunded them. Yeah.
And so there's nobody out there now holding a ticket. So
we're back to square one.
Yeah.
I think unfortunately you're going to have to remake that or re-edit your little video that you did as another advert for these.
Yes.
And then.
Yes, I'll get onto that. The thing is, this is what happens with me. I've been doing these talks now for quite a long time. And every talk is different from the last one.
Mm.
And the reason is because every time we turn around, there's a new thing that's happening.
I know, yeah.
And our friend Philip Mantle said a long time ago, cause he said to me, you've got to publish a book. And I said to him, Philip, nobody's interested. It's dead. It's a long time ago now. It's not, and he said to me, it's never going to go away.
He was right.
Yeah, I said to him, of course it will. He said, no, it's not going anywhere. He said, it's always going to be there, right? So, and he was right.
Yeah.
Now, every time I turn around, there's a CIA letter, and there's this guy there, and the latest one today. Did you see the one today?
No, I haven't. I'll tell you what, but before we do that, can we can we do a little potted version? You explain.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure that people out there know who you are. I'm hoping it, but just in case there's one or two people out there that don't quite understand who you are and what, they've obviously heard of the alien autopsy. You're the man who did the what do you call it, the fake autopsy.
Yeah.
Perhaps you'd like to just give us a potted version of it. We don't.
Okay. All right. In short, let's go back a little bit further and just establish the groundwork. In 1947, something crashed in Roswell, New Mexico, and the Army airfield at the time said it was a spaceship, it's a flying saucer. And it was in the newspapers that the flying saucer had crashed in the ranch of a guy called Matt Brazel.
Yep.
What happened was, soon after they cleared the field of whatever it was that crashed there, they then said, no, it wasn't a flying saucer, it was a weather balloon. Now we call that the Roswell Incident, and there's lots of theories floating around about whether or not it was a spaceship, if there were bodies, and if those bodies were there, where were they taken? And the possibility of doing an autopsy on one of the alien bodies was quite a high thing. It would have happened if there was a dead body, right? Yeah. So that was the basis of the story. Fast forward, and it was 1995, and I was going to Cannes in France to one of the markets. It was actually Midem. The market was called Midem, which is the music market, where people who make music sell their albums and promote their new songs, and everybody congresses in Cannes. There's 4 of these markets a year. The others are based on audio visual as well. So you've got MIPCOM, which is computer programming and communications, which involve audio visual. And then you've got the MIP TV, which is television, where people sell television programs to other countries and other platforms. And then you have the Cannes Film Festival, which is the one that most of you have heard of, right? So in the industry, we would go to all of the 4 different markets every year. Now, I was going to Midem, and I was interviewing a couple of people there for Warner Brothers, or it might be an EMI. Yeah, EMI. And I was taking a crew out there, and I thought, well, I've got a crew going out to Cannes. I may as well contact a few people and see if anybody else needed my services. And I sent 4 faxes. It was faxes in those days. It wasn't any emails. And I sent 4 faxes, and one of those people that I sent the fax to was a guy called Ray Santilli, and he ran a company called Merlin. And he contacted me and he said, look, I don't really need anything filmed while I'm out there, but it'd be good to meet you because you're only local to us and we do quite a lot of production work, so it'd be good to meet. So I met him in Cannes, and he told me that he had a film of an alien autopsy. So he actually made that statement. So I thought, I've just spent the whole night with this guy, and he's got a screw loose, right? But I never say never, right? So I kept open mind, and I said, okay, you never know, right? Let's follow this and see where it goes. So he said, I've got this film that I bought from America, and it's an alien, and I want you to make documentaries from it. So I'll sell it around the world. And you'll be the go-to person to make the documentary, so I can keep the material all in one place. So I said, okay, great. So we went back to London, and a week later, I went to his offices to see the film. And he showed me the film, and it was clearly a fake. Okay, it was shot on low-band U-matic. I thought it was VHS at the time, because it's the same kind of quality. But it was low band, and I told him so.
Yeah. Because of your background, you could see straight away that it was fake. Yeah.
I know. Listen, it's my job to know, right? I can look at a piece of footage and I can tell you, is it a copy of a copy? I can tell you whether it's a camera original. I can tell you a lot of things, right? Even down to exposure and various other things. So I looked at it and I said to him, Ray, it's not real. And he said, well, no, it is. I said, it's not real. I said, this is shot in camera. It's got artifacts, video artifacts from a video camera. So I know this is shot on video. And he said, no. He said, it's film and we copied it to video. I said, no, Ray, it's got glitches that only come from the camera head. Right? So it's definitely shot on low band, on a low band format. I'm guessing VHS, right? It later turned out to be low band pneumatic. Okay, so his face changed when I told him it's fake, and the colour in his skin changed, and his shoulders dropped, and it was a defeated man, right? I could see that it's caused him a problem, right? And I said to him, I'm sorry, Ray, but you've been done, right? Thinking that he was above board.
Yeah.
When I left the office, I phoned my partner and friend John Humphreys, who is a sculptor, and we worked together on various other projects in special effects. And he worked in a special effect company called Coast to Coast in West Hampstead, which was around the corner from where I was. So we used to do quite a lot of stuff together. And I called John and I said, you should have seen this, John. It was so funny. It was laughable. We could have made this with our feet, right? And he just said, well, why don't we? Right? And I thought, you know what? He's right. We could do this properly, right? So I phoned Ray back. And I said, Ray, listen, I've been thinking, I can make this film properly, but it needs to be done in a way where we give it free, we don't tell people what it is, we let them make their mind up, and when they can't determine what it is, and they think it's an alien, we will then make a documentary to show how we made it.
Yeah.
And we would release that and make money from it. We will sell it. All right. The how it was made documentary. So he said, okay, that's great, but you know, can you make it realistic and can you do this? I said, look, I can make it so that it will pass all the tests, but you need to just let me get on with it. It's going to cost a bit of money, but we'll get that back. And I'll invest the same as you, right? So I'll put my time, effort, and whatever I need to do, and it won't cost anything there. I'll get the crew together. I'll do the whole thing. And he said to me, well, you know, it has to remain secret until we decide to tell people it's not real. Otherwise, if somebody goes forward and tells people it's not real, there's nothing there's no story.
Yeah. It was supposed to be a short-term hoax, wasn't it?
Yeah,
in the first place.
Yeah. So I said to him, okay, well, what I'll do is I'll select a very small crew. I'll do most of the stuff myself, so I won't have to get a set builder. I won't have to get a cameraman. I won't have to get an editor. I won't have to get a lighting guy or a costumer. All of that stuff I'll do myself, right? So I'll keep the crew very, very small. So he said, well, I'm still not convinced because it was going to cost him £35,000. So he said, look, I could get the money. I'm going to get it from my friend Volker. But he said, I need to guarantee he's going to get his money back. So how do we know that one of your people doesn't spill the beans too soon? So he had us all sign non-disclosure agreements that we wouldn't speak about the film until he put it into the public domain. Mm. So the initial thrust on how he was going to get his money back. Now, he didn't ask me or tell me about this, but this is what he did, is he put the film onto VHS and he sold a VHS tape, and he called it Roswell the Footage, and he charged, I think, 40 or 50 quid for a VHS tape and sold a lot of them, right? But the idea was to get back his 35 grand. So we can then be break even and then go forward. Yeah. So, because he had to appease Volker Spielberg, who put the money in. So that's the backstory. We did do that. We signed a non-disclosure agreement, and I designed it with John. I sat down with John in a coffee shop called Fabrizi's in Finchley Road, and we sketched out the idea of what this alien's going to look like, and deliberated very hard and long, and decided to go against what the eyewitnesses said they saw, because it was a bit of a double bluff, you know. The easiest thing to do would have been to copy the classic grey, right? But the problem with that is both John and I didn't agree with it. We don't believe that the greys can work, okay? Not with the knowledge that we have. So we had to make a creature that worked physically in every way, right? So we analysed it to death, and we said, okay, well, that little thin neck wouldn't hold that big head unless the head was empty, right? Well, what we're going to do? Cut open the head and it had nothing in it. That's not good. That's not good TV, right? It's not a good film. It has to have something inside. So if it's going to have something inside, it must have some weight. And if it's got weight, that little neck's not going to hold it. And physically, if we made that creature and had a brain inside the head, it would be flopping all over the place because that neck couldn't hold it, right? So in reality, it wouldn't hold it. So we decided to make it a body that was physically logical. It would work. So now John knew a lot about anatomy because he's a sculptor. He studied it, you know, he studied every little muscle, every little bone, where everything goes. So when we designed this creature, we made it so that the head could be held by the neck. So it's got quite a stocky neck, and the body's quite muscular. And we thought, well, we have to keep some of the elements of an alien, what people think an alien looks like, so that they can say, oh yeah, there's definitely an alien, because otherwise it looks too much like a human being, right? So we kept the big eyes and the big head, and we kind of went along with some of the features, but then we threw a few spanners in the works, and we said, you know what, let's make it look like it's female. Let's give it a distended belly so people think it's pregnant. But there's other reasons for it, because it's got a double stomach, and one stomach creates bacteria that feeds the other one. So in a dormant situation where it's hibernating, because it had to be more insect-like inside. So if it's travelling hundreds of light years, which is what we're thinking, right? Where did it come from? It's got to travel physically, because we can't make anything which is not physical, right? Because there are other theories of black holes and time travel and
dimensions.
Yeah. So how do you build that and put it on a film? You can't build that, right? So we had a confined area that we had to keep it physical. We've got a body here, so that body is physical, and then we've got to create a physical story. So if it flew here in a flying saucer, which is what we've been told crashed at Roswell, then all of the other dimensions and light travel and all the rest of all that's out the window. We've got to live on a physical plane. So how did it travel so many miles without dying? Right? So we had two options. We thought, okay, they never die. They just change bodies. Okay. So that's a good idea. Oh, that was a nice sci-fi idea. They grow a body. They grow a new body, and they go from one body to another. That way they never expire. So there's no need to have a belly button, because it's not being born. Right? So let's not give it a belly button. That's a good idea. And then we thought, okay, well, what about if it sleeps a lot as well, like an animal that hibernates in the winter? What if this creature could live self-sufficiently, right, for long periods of time? So it shuts down, and it runs on empty, if you like, right? So how does it do that? Well, you give it two stomachs, and one stomach has got bacteria which grows in itself. It's living, right? And that bacteria carries on growing, and it trickles into the second stomach, where it gets digested as food, right? So the body can work on trickle. So the bacteria carries on breeding, and the bacteria keeps trickling into the stomach, and it carries on giving it enough energy to stay alive, right? So that was the idea. So, because we've all got little bits of information, right? Like, for example, I'm going to ask you the question, and I know you got the answer, right? And hopefully, anyway. But if you haven't, you haven't. It's not an embarrassment. I'll tell you what it is, right? But it's very simple. In a nuclear war, what is the only thing that we think is going to survive?
Probably insects.
That's right, cockroaches.
Yeah,
That's what we've that's what we've been told, right? Everyone knows that, right? So we thought, okay, you know what? Cockroaches can survive a nuclear war, right? And radiation. So then why don't we make this creature a bit more insect-like, okay, so that the bacteria is already on that level, so that can survive going through radiation and all that sort of stuff. And maybe the body, right, if it's more insect-like, it can also tolerate the G-forces that we would break up. If we travelled beyond a certain speed, we would break up. Well, but a cockroach wouldn't, you see. So I thought, okay, well that's a good get out of jail card. Let's make it more insect-like inside. So it can't be human-like inside. Okay, but it has to have a humanoid feel, so it keeps the audience connected. Okay, because when you're a filmmaker, if you're writing a story and you're making a film, what your biggest enemy is losing connection with your audience. Okay, if we created a grey alien, our audience is already laughing at it before it started. It's too jokey. So you've lost connection with your audience. Okay? But if you create a more human-looking creature, and the debate of whether or not we should have had it in colour or black and white was a big debate at the time. And I said to John, we need to be black and white. And John said to me, but they did have colour film in 47. So why would you film a monumental piece of film like this in black and white if you've got colour, right? And I said to him, I'll tell you why, because the cameraman had to get his hands on as much film as possible. And so we're making up the story, right? We're going through this story. He had to get as much film as possible, so he asked Washington to send him everything. And they sent him colour film, and they sent him black and white film as well. And he shot everything. He shot all the film, colour and black and white. But what he did was, he sent the film that was good to go, he developed it, and sent it on to Washington. So Washington got all the good stuff, the colour stuff, and all the good stuff. The stuff that got left over was the problematic stuff, because the Filmo camera that they would have used, and that's what I used as well. I actually managed to buy 2 of them. They sometimes chewed up the sprockets on the film. They jammed, and then they would wheel spin, and that wheel spin acted like a saw, and it would cut the film in a section, right? So that all the little holes, the sprocket holes that it would use to move the film along, would get cut into one slit, and it would just wheel spin. You follow?
Yeah, split them, yeah.
Okay. So they would have to take that film out manually, and then they would have to wind it on a little bit longer, further, and then they would put it back again and restart. Mm-hmm. But when they developed it, they couldn't put it through a machine because the sprockets would end up wheel spinning where the slit is, and the film would stay in the solution too long and get overexposed, right? Overdeveloped. So what they would do is they would do it by hand. So they would literally wind it on by hand, and when it got to the wheel spinny part, they would help it on its way to get to sprockets again. So that would have to be developed by hand. So he held those back to hand process. And they were all the problematic films. So the shittiest films that he shot would be the ones that we've got now. Yeah. You with me?
Yep.
Yeah. So the quality is no good. It's very bad quality. It's but that gives us another angle, because another question is, how do you get to keep the most important film the world has ever seen at top secret level if you're a cameraman in the military? How did you get that and take it home? Right? Well, because I had to process it manually, and it was the damaged film. So that's how I got to keep it. Well, why didn't you give it back? Didn't anybody ask you for it? Okay. So this is John and me having a conversation between us.
This is what supposedly would have happened, yeah.
Yes, yeah. So John and I having this supposed conversation, a devil's advocate conversation. So John's saying, well, why don't you give the film to Washington when you developed it? Right? So, again, we researched this whole thing to death, right? And we found out that in July, I think it was July, I can't remember the date now, it was such a long time ago, in 1947, what was the Army Air Force disbanded and became the Army separately from the Air Force. So some generals and leaders would go to one side and others would go to another.
Yeah.
So some were Air Force, some were Army. So the people he was responsible to and answerable to were no longer there. Right? And this is a need-to-know basis, right? You do not, it's a top-secret operation. You do not mention it to anybody who doesn't know about it. So the only time you talk about it is when someone mentions it. So if somebody doesn't ask you for the film, you don't say, what do you want me to do with these films? Yeah. Right? So what you do, you just sit quiet and you wait until someone says, can you give me those films, please? Yeah. But no one ever did.
Which I think you could actually see that happening, can't you? You think, well, I'm going to hang on to this, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So he held on to it for 50 years.
Yeah. Supposedly,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and forgot about it and put it put it in the basement. Apparently, this is what Santilli said, right? And it's great. It's great that Santilli did say that, because I'll come on to that in a minute. But Santilli built a picture of who this cameraman is or was. Okay, and we know a few things about this cameraman that Santilli told us. He's got a niece who got married around 1995-96, because Santilli he sold Santilli the film because he wanted to pay for his niece's wedding. This is what Santilli told us, right? So it's on record. So this cameraman must have a niece who got married around 95, 96. The other thing that we know is that Santilli told us that this cameraman has got a son. Okay, he's got a son because the son was he played a part in a couple of things, and I'll tell you about those later. But we know he's got a son. We also know that his house has a basement. Okay, so it's because he said he went to the basement where he kept the film and he showed him the film. So it shouldn't be very difficult to find an ex-military cameraman who has a niece who got married in 95, who has a son and a wife and a house with a basement. Right? These are all very specific things. So if we find a cameraman who hasn't got a house with a basement and hasn't got a niece that got married, right, it's not the right cameraman, is it?
Yeah.
Right. So it was a good thing that Santilli did. At the time he thought he was being clever. But he's actually narrowed down who this can be, because they have come up with a name for a cameraman. And the guy was called, what was he called again? Oh God, you know what? I'm getting old.
Yeah, I know it as well, but I can't think.
Yeah, it's on the record, right? But you know what? It isn't him, because the reason it isn't him, he was in the wrong place at the right time, right? So he wasn't in Roswell at the time of the alien situation. But let's suppose we don't know that. Maybe he was. Well, he hasn't got a niece that got married, and he hasn't got a house with a basement, and he lives in Florida. Right, so all of these things don't add up to the right guy. But what if we've got the guy? Why can't we talk to him? Because Ray said, well, I promised him that I would keep him anonymous because he didn't want to be known. Okay, well, what about now that he's dead? Why can't we know who he is now? There's nothing can happen to him, right? His wife and he are gone. They've got to be gone, yeah. Right. So what's the problem? But. Because there wasn't a cameraman, that's the problem, and there's no film, there's no real film, that's the problem, right? So that's the backstory. Okay, the backstory is that we created a film that pretended to be an alien autopsy from 1947,
and supposedly the film was found by looking for some Elvis Presley film, wasn't it? But,
yes,
and this is how it was discovered.
Well, the story goes that he was in America looking for Elvis memorabilia because he was doing an Elvis program. Actually, what he did was he found a disabled lady who was an Elvis fan, and she turned up to a gig in a wheelchair one time, and Elvis stopped the gig and had her put up onto the stage, so she got the best view of the house. And they kept in touch, and Elvis would send her letters when he was in the army. And he would send her photographs and little bits of video, 8mm film. And she had a big box full of all these things from Elvis, right? And she died, and it was in her estate. And Santilli found out about this, and he bought the stuff from the estate from a disabled girl, okay, who became friends with Elvis. And he subsequently published a book and did a few bits and pieces. It was not a man. It was not a cameraman. It was not a military cameraman. It wasn't. So he didn't get any Elvis stuff from any military cameraman. Right? And that's where he got it from a disabled girl.
It's quite an important fact, isn't it, that? When you think about it.
Yeah. So the story that he went to get Elvis footage, because he said that the cameraman said, I've got Elvis footage that you'll be interested in. And then once he bought the Elvis footage from him, he then said, I've got something else you might be interested in. That's the story Santilli told. Yeah. So the Elvis footage that he says he bought, well, can we see that, please, Mr. Santilli?
And also, how did that film get mixed up with that? It's
Where is it? Yeah, where is it? Because we know the footage from the disabled girl, and we know the archive footage that you got from newsreels, because that's public domain. So where's the footage that you got from this supposed cameraman? Doesn't exist, right? So it's another kink in his armour. So once we made the film and we gave it to Santilli, Santilli's job was to give it to broadcasters for free. This was our agreement, and let them investigate it. And when they can't find out what it is, and think it's real, that's when we would then say, ta-da! This has been a big magic trick. It's not real, right? But at the time, we didn't have the internet like we have now, and communications were not as easily got as they are now. So the only thing that I heard about was in our own home territory. So I saw he gave it to Channel 4 in the UK for free. Okay, so he did what I said he should do in my home territory. But he also sold it around the world behind closed doors. So I had no knowledge that it was being sold, and it was sold to a lot of people around the world for millions of dollars. So I was in Hong Kong one year, and I was sitting in my hotel room, and I put the television on, and there's the alien autopsy.
It was Fox TV, wasn't it?
No, it was Hong Kong. ATV did their own program.
Oh, it was a separate one, right? Okay.
Yeah. Every major territory around the world made a program about the alien autopsy. Okay.
I'm sort of referring to the most famous one that we know about was the Fox TV Alien Autopsy Fact or Fiction, wasn't it? The American version.
Yeah, but we didn't see that for a long time, right? And it wasn't, it was after it was released in America, and when we did see it, there was no knowledge, and nobody knew if they paid for it. You see, no, it wasn't right. No, all I knew was they spent $1 million producing the show, which was unheard of, to make a 1 hour documentary on TV for $1 million, never heard of before, right? It also broke all viewing figures twice, right? Again, big business, but we didn't think for a second that Santilli sold it to them, because he was supposed to give it to them for free. Yeah. And I kept saying to Santilli, when are we doing the documentary? It's like, look, Fox has just told us they think it's real, right? Now we're prime position to make our documentary. And if they spent $1 million on theirs and they've done so much business, imagine what ours would have done, right? Because it's hot off the press. And Santilli kept saying, well, I haven't broken even yet, so we can't go public till we break even.
He must have broken well even.
Oh, listen, the Fox program, they paid him $300,000 for the first time it went out, and they paid him $300,000 the second time it was shown. Repeat. He was also, he kept the broadcast rights for, DVD. Sorry, the home VHS, video rights. Yeah, and he also kept the TV rights, right? So, or a share of it. So Santilli was making money left, right, and centre, but we didn't know that. His stance to us was, I haven't broken even yet, and I've got a problem with Volk, I've got to pay him back, and don't know what I'm going to do, right? So, and we were working together, and we were friends, and I felt sorry for him. I go, oh, don't worry, we'll get it sooner or later, we'll work out. And I just went along with it. So the first opportunity I got to go public was 2005, when the Anton Deck film was being made. And Gary Shoefield, Ray's partner, and Ray came to my office, and quite an official, bear in mind, we're working with each other every day, right? But he made a special appointment to come and see me with Gary. And they came and saw me, we sat in the office, and he said, we've been offered a film, to make a film about the alien autopsy. What do you think? And I said, how much are they paying us? And he said, oh, no, we're just doing it for fun. Bear in mind, at this point, we've kept it secret for 10 years, right? It's maintained its integrity for 10 years. Nobody's seen a penny out of it, as far as I was concerned, for 10 years, right? And the first time we're going to tell the world about it, we're going to give it to a film company for free. So I said, Ray, why would we do that? And he said, well, it'd be good, it'd be fun, I said, don't we have enough fun? Right? Why would we want to do this for free? They're going to make money out of it. The film company's not doing it for free. So he said, so you don't want to do it? I said, no, I don't think we should do it. So they left my office and they did it without me. Right? And when I found out about it, John phoned me up. John Humphreys phoned me up and he said, Spyros, I don't know if you know about this. Is it okay if I make an alien for Warner Brothers? They're making a film and Ray's asked me to do the alien. And I said, they're doing what? He said, they're making a film. Did you not know about it? He said he told you. I said, they came and asked me what we should do. And I said, we shouldn't make it. And they're now doing it without me. And he said, well, it's a lot of money for me. What should I need the money. Can I do it? So I said to John, well, you know what, John? I'm not going to stop you making a living. Do it. I said, but don't make it as realistic as ours. Make it a bit more jokey. All right. And I'll be happy. But I said to him, and I'll deal with Ray separately. So John went off to do it. And if you look at the alien in the Anton Deck film, I'm getting back now to the reason we did it in black and white. When we made our film, we could have made it in colour. And I said something to you, which was that I wanted to keep the connection with the audience. And making it black and white meant I didn't have to decide what colour this alien's going to be. Because if I said it's an alien, your first thing that you're going to think of is green. Let's make it green. Right? And that's because sci-fi has done that. What's the furthest away from a human? Let's make it green. Let's make it blue. It's not make it skin colour, right? So to make it in colour was a big problem for me, because if we made it any colour, it would look jokey. So black and white, we got away with it. It's just grey, right? It could be any colour. And it's leaving your imagination to fill in the blanks. So that's why I made it black and white. The other thing is I wanted it to look sinister. I wanted you to look at this film and I wanted you to have three emotions, right? These are the emotions I wanted you to have. The first emotion is, oh my God, this is an alien. Okay? The second emotion I want you to have is, my God, it looks so real. It's so scary. This is really scary. It's almost a horror thing. And the last thing I want you to feel is sympathy for the alien. That poor alien, right? They've come from a different planet. They could have come in peace and they ended up on a slab, right? It's terrible. What we're doing to this alien is terrible. So it's those three things that I needed to get people to feel. And when you look at it, it is quite sinister and there is an element of horror, when you first see it. Now we're used to it now. But when it first got released, it was, my God, what the hell is this?
Yeah, I agree. I remember when I first saw it, and they were my feelings exactly as you described.
Yeah. Now the next thing that we needed to do as well was, here's another big problem, right? All the pathologists, the top pathologists and doctors in the world are going to laugh at you if you say, could you please look at this film of an alien? Their default position is what happened to me when I first met Santilli. And he said to me, I've got a film of an alien autopsy. My knee-jerk reaction was, he's not all there.
Yeah.
Right? It wasn't, oh my God, he's got an alien autopsy. Right? It was the negative. I fell for the knee-jerk reaction, which was, something's wrong with this man if he thinks he's got a film of an alien. Right? So I then used that same feeling that I had and I put it onto the doctors. And I thought, you know what? If we want to make a documentary and have people investigate this film, if they are told it's an alien, they're going to not see it. If you're Cyril Wecht and you've done 50,000 autopsies and you teach students in universities and you're the guy they call in the big court case, right, and murder cases, and right, you do not want your reputation tarnished by, oh yeah, this guy was looking at an alien, right? Do you see where I'm coming with this? So how do you do it? Well, what you do is you make it so humanoid that it can be human, right? And if you say this could be a deformed human, now it's a medical anomaly. Now it's something interesting for a medical person. They're going to see something they haven't seen before, right? So they're going to want to see it. And if you position it, look, we've got this film. It's dated in the 40s. It looks like it's a radiated body or an abnormality, a birth defect. We just wanted your expertise to tell us what you think is wrong with this, what happened to this poor person, right? So that's what Cyril Wecht was told to do. So he's looking at it, and he's looking at it thinking this is a human, right? And the first things that he says are, well, it's got much larger head than I'd ever seen, and the orbital sightings are much bigger than I would see in a human. The ears are low set. Again, I haven't seen that. Not all in one person. But, maybe this is what's happened through radiation therapy, maybe, whatever. And he's trying to justify all these ailments that this body is showing, right? And it dawns on him this is not a human being once it starts being cut open. Suddenly, he's saying, look, guys, this is not human, right? So, what is it? I don't know what it is. Now, we've got a very embarrassed pathologist who knows it's fake because it can't be real. In his head, he's doing what I would have done at the beginning, right? Don't be silly. You haven't got an alien autopsy film, right? That prejudice is going to hit in at that point. And he's going to say, I'm looking at a special effect, right? I've been had. So then he says, you know what, guys, I don't know what it is. It's probably a special effect, right? And then he's told, but the effects guys, the top effects guys in the world say they can't make this. And then he's saying, well, look, if they can't make it and it's not a human being, I don't know what it is, right? Is it alien? I don't know what it is. What's an alien look like? I haven't got a clue, right? I've never seen it. That's where it went, right? So if we made it too alien looking, I guarantee you no professional in their right mind would touch it with a barge pole. So this was a consideration that we had right at the beginning. And I was right. I was 100% right. Because when you talk to Kodak and you say, we want you to date this film, what you must not do is say, we've got a film of an alien, could you please date it for us? Because at that point, you've blown it, right? Because they're not dating a film, they're dating a film that shows an alien. And now that's very, very important, what they say and goes on, what historically is registered and what they said is going to be there forever, right? They don't want to be the chump that dated an alien autopsy that was fake, right? So you don't mention an alien. You just say, this is just a film, it's just a film, right? We just want to date it. When he glimpses that there's an alien body on it, then the conversation in his head, not to you, because he can't say to you, what is this, right? Because you've not volunteered and you're acting very shady about the whole thing. He's now making it up in his own head. And the natural conclusion will be this is a sci-fi film. Okay? It's got to be the natural conclusion. It isn't a real alien still. It can't be. So they won't have a problem with putting a date to it. They won't have a problem with being involved in it. I guarantee you, go to any professional and say, I've got a film which shows a real alien body. Can you please get involved? Nobody will. Okay? Because that's the world we're living in. Everyone's scared to make a wrong move because their career will be over. Right? This is the idiot that thought it was a real film, right? This is the one that said it's real. So fast forward, and we've got a situation now where we've got a lot of experts who cannot backtrack and say, yeah, I'm an idiot, I got it wrong, I was taken, clearly it's not real. They are scratching further and further and further. And what Santilli did was he gave them a lifeline, and he said, no, listen guys, I'm going to put my hands up. Yeah, this film is recreated, right? Sorry, but there was real film. and that is genuine, right? And he gave them a lifeline to say, haha, we're not idiots, we didn't get caught, there is real film, this isn't real, great, okay, well that's fair enough, but there is still real film, so our credibility is still good, right? So that was very clever of Santilli to do that, because by throwing that new cat amongst the pigeons, right, it created a brand new twist.
Yeah, because there are still researchers getting on board, doesn't there, saying that there is real film.
Oh, there's lots of people saying it. Nobody's showing it.
Nobody's seen anything yet.
No, nobody's seen it and nobody's showing it. So no, we're not going to see it either. So, like yesterday, you kindly sent me a link to, something on YouTube, which was using my materials again. And.
Well, I pointed out, I said, have you seen this, Spyros? And,
yes.
you I think you had seen it previously, but you'd actually had it removed, and, I wasn't aware of that, but, you sort of started spitting bullets.
Yeah, well, you know what? I had it removed once and they put it back again, but this time what they've done, quite cheekily, is they've got Santilli to back it. And Santilli has said, it's Orbital Media copyright and I'm allowing them to use it. And the woman whose channel it is put a disclaimer on there, and it said, right, and here's the interesting thing, right, the wording is really interesting, because I'm quite literal, right. This is the wording. The wording was, and I'm paraphrasing now, but it's something like, warning, if you make false copyright claims to take this down, you will be sued.
That's correct, yeah. That's almost word for word, yeah.
Okay. And I said, okay, that's fine, because I'm not going to make a false claim.
You're making a real one.
I'm going to make a factual claim. Does it involve me? That's not for me, right? So, because the literal fact is, I own the copyright, and I'm not making a false claim, right? So what did I do? I had no hesitation. I went straight to YouTube. I filled in the form, and I put in a takedown notice. So that's going through right now. Now, what I'm anticipating will happen is that because Santilli registered my film, let's just make sure we've got this clear, my 1995 film that I gave him, he then took it to the Library of Congress in America and told them that this is a 1947 film and used the Kodak letter, which doesn't qualify that they saw any image with alien on it. It just said they saw a film that was 1947, right? And he registered my film as a 1947 film. So he has a registration at the Library of Congress, a government body, right? A US government body, where he has fraudulently lied.
It's got to be illegal there somewhere, isn't it?
Well, you know what? It's so illegal, it's terrible, right? Because he's not done it to a company like Fox, which is illegal. It's illegal as well, right? But he's done it to the government, right? This is a little bit heavier now. So he's got a registration of a 1947 film which shows exactly, frame for frame, my film that I made in 1995. So what he's actually done is he's stolen my copyright and positioned it as his copyright, and he's changed the date to do that. So, on the form he filled in, he said cameraman is unknown, right? So, I can't remember if it's anonymous or unknown. One of the two, same thing really. The other thing that he said was, year of manufacture 1947, and the place where the copyright is registered to is Italy, which is interesting because it should be America, shouldn't it?
Well, yeah.
Right? Or if it was his, and he was saying, well, the registration now should be mine, it should be UK, not Italy.
Yeah, where did Italy come from? I wonder.
He comes from Italy, and I'll tell you why he did it.
Okay. Yeah.
Right? He did it because in Italy there is no law. Everything's buyable. Okay? So, if you want to screen a copyright or do a bootleg video or sell CDs or do whatever you want in Italy, do you know what? Nobody cares. Very, very hard to enforce the law.
Yeah.
Okay? So if it all goes tumbling down, they have to try him, apparently, if it wasn't a fraud, right, they would have to try it in Italy.
Right.
Right? And that puts up another smokescreen.
Yeah. Okay. It's with a mafia, I wonder.
No, I don't know. But you know what he made? I doubt that. But I tell you what, he made a few mistakes. Being very clever, he made a few mistakes. So he put his company, Orbital Media Limited, in the UK as the owner.
Mm.
All right. So at very least, Orbital Media need to be tried, and that will be done in the UK and America,
Yeah.
right? So the Italy thing, I don't really know where his head was with that, but you know. Anyway, so that's what his registration shows, and he's been able to put up a copy of my film on his Orbital Media page, and I contested it and tried to have it removed, and YouTube told me that he's shown them that he owns copyright on the film, and if I don't agree, then I need to sue him, right? So they're not going to get involved. So I said to them, well, I've got a copyright on my film too, which is identical. So what do we do now? Right? And they said, well, you can have your film on your YouTube channel, and he can't take it down either. You got to sort it out between you. So where we've had this lock horn situation between Santilli and I, here's what I think is going to happen now. I've never, ever said, listen, this is fraudulent, right? I am now.
Right.
I've said it a few times. I said it a few times.
Have.
It's a very serious accusation, right? And I'm saying it openly. Now, what's going to happen now, I predict, I've issued a takedown notice. Santilli's going to try and say that we've had this before and I've shown you that I own the film. And it's going to come back to me and they're going to say, sorry, it's been overturned. And I'm going to then say, this is a fraudulent case of theft and you're appeasing it. The original case that you didn't want to act on is nothing to do with this particular case because now there's a third party involved and they've made a documentary and it also defames me, right? Because the content of that film says the film is real. And therefore, if that is correct, that then makes me a liar. Mm. Okay? Plus, he uses the word the magician when he talks about me, thinking that it's okay because he's not naming me. But everyone knows that I'm a magician and everyone knows I'm the guy that made the alien autopsy. So it's clearly me he's talking about. It's not ambiguous at all. So he might as well use my name, right? So when it comes back, it will either get taken down because YouTube and I have had quite a heavy number because I've said to them, if you side with other people on my property, you are aiding and abetting the theft. Yeah. You're an accessory. And I will sue you. And it'd be worth suing you. So let's not go there, right? Let's do the right thing. Here's my registration. Here's the copy of my film. Look at the film. Look at my registration. And then look at the other film and tell me if you think it's the same film, right? And you've got to make a judgment call. Because if you make the wrong judgment call, I'm going to hit you for millions. So they take down everything I tell them to take down because they've been through the due diligence. Mm. What we haven't tested is me against Santilli. And here's where it's going to end, my friend. Okay? Santilli has now got to put up or shut up. And it will end up in court this time. And what will happen is the judge will quite openly say, excellent. Okay, Miss Santilli. So your story is that you've had a real film of an alien autopsy, and it's genuinely 1947. Yeah. That's your story, right? Yes. And Mr. Melaris, you're saying it's 1995 film. Okay, I got that. And it's not a real alien. I'm not allowed to take sides because as much as I might say that I don't believe it's a real alien, I'm not allowed to take sides. I need to look at evidence. Okay, Miss Santilli, this can be put to bed very quickly. Show me the film.
Yep.
Right? Show me the film. Show me your evidence. Let's put this out of bed. Right? Oh, well, I haven't got any, Your Honour, because it got damaged beyond repair. Right? That's what he's going to say. So you haven't got any evidence? No. Okay. So what you've got is hearsay, your word against Mr. Melaris. Yeah. Okay. Mr. Melaris, what you got to say to that? And I will say, well, Your Honour, he showed some film to this person and that person and that person, and also to Philip Mantle, and he's boasting and showing people only recently in Russia, he's showing them film. So he's just lied to you.
Under oath.
Because he's just told you he hasn't got any film. Yeah. Right? So what one is it? Oh, well, no, I had it then, but I haven't got it now. Well, that's very convenient. You haven't got it you had it a year ago. So can I ask you why you didn't get it tested and dated? This is the most monumental film the world has ever seen. If you got this dated, this is the most important film ever. So why didn't you get it dated? Oh, I never got round to it in how long? In 25 years. No, listen, it gets to a point where you can't buy anything he says. Right? And then you start calling witnesses. If you have to. It won't get to that. It won't even get to that. But you start calling witnesses under oath, and here's where it falls down. John Humphreys is towing the company line now, and he's saying that Ray Santilli showed him real film. Right? And that's what he made the alien from. Well, the truth is, we sketched what this alien is going to look like. I gave John a sketch, and I said to him that this is what it's got to be. It's got to be 6 fingers, 6 toes, big eyes, low set ears, very small mouth. I want it to look like this. It's got to be, it's got to have no belly button, right? All these details are in my sketch. And here's the nitty gritty, right? You say Santilli showed you film. And this is in court. Remember, this is in court and he's under oath. Okay? Yes. Okay, would you like to change your story now and tell the truth, or are you going to stick with that? Because what I'm going to say next is going to kill you, right? And he said, well, that's what happened. Okay. Well, here is Spyros' diary, and you didn't even meet Santilli until after the alien was made. How could you have been shown film by Ray Santilli when you hadn't even met him yet? Well, if he says I did meet him, well, we need to see some evidence, because we've got evidence that you haven't. Let's see the evidence that you have. Right? There isn't any evidence that he has, right? Because nothing happened before that date. He never met him before that. So, Santilli says he showed film. Well, he didn't show me any film. I've never seen any real film. So who's he shown it to? John. Okay. So, John, what did you see in that film? Now, gets very interesting, okay? Because John had no dealings on the film other than making the alien, right? So the set I made completely. So the clock and the telephone and the Bunsen burner and the table and all the bits on the side table and the side tables to the autopsy room and the kit and all that stuff, John had no dealings with. Okay, so I know that stuff intimately, but John doesn't. Okay, so what we will establish under examination is, what did you see on the film? Now, unfortunately for John, is whatever he says he saw will be cross-examined. Right? Well, if you saw that, why isn't it in the recreation? If you did see that, then how are these things? For example, there doesn't have to be a clock in there, does there?
No.
If you're making this from scratch, you can put a clock in if you want. You don't have to put a clock in. But I did put a clock in for a very good reason, and that was I wanted to show a passage of time. Right? The telephone on the wall is nonsensical. It shouldn't be in a surgical environment. Right? You can't be picking up a telephone. You know, when you're in an environment where you're in a clean environment. So there's a lot of things that are not right. But
there's also your autopsy table, which was quite an important one, wasn't there? It's the table doesn't exist anywhere else in the world. I mean, I made it from scratch and I designed it. But the problem is that if we end up in court, is that the evidence on Santilli's side is very, very wishy-washy, and the evidence on my side is quite strong, right? So, and
here's the other thing in law that I establish quite a lot, I've been in court a lot, right, is that when there's lack of evidence, what the judge does is he uses the law of probability. And he says, is it probable that the story makes sense, right? And then the laws of probability is it probable that this man made a fake film and sold it to the world, or is it probable that he bought a real, genuine 1947 film and he didn't get it dated, and he waited until it got destroyed, and then he had it made, and he had a, is that more probable? It's not. It's more far-fetched, isn't it? So there's another very good thing that Philip Mantle came up with recently, which was, because some of you may know this, they may not know this. But I made two alien autopsies. The first one wasn't correct, medically wasn't correct, so we had to scrap that and then do it again, which meant creating a second body and doing the whole thing all over again. So there's two films, and Santilli has shown frames of the first film, and the differences are that the first film, the alien doesn't have a damaged leg, right? The right leg on the real film that we've released, that's got a damaged leg, okay? And the damaged leg was something I had to do. It was just a matter of just thinking on my feet. There was an air bubble caught in the mould when we made it.
I remember you saying you used a blowtorch on it or something, didn't you?
Yeah, and I basically cut out the air bubble, and we got a knuckle joint from the butchers, and we put it in there, and we then dressed it and made it look like a bullet wound.
Yeah, it actually does look very effective.
So that's what happened on the second one. But the first one didn't have any problems. We had all the time in the world to make it. So we didn't hurry it, and there was no room for error to get an air bubble trapped. So that had a perfect body. So Philip Mantle's question was, if this is a recreation, why did you make two?
Yeah.
Right? Well, it's a good question.
It's quite obvious, really, isn't it?
Yeah. If it's a recreation, Miss Santilli, why did you make two? Right? They wouldn't need to make two if it was a recreation. So, all right. Anyway, so the rest of it's history, as they say. But here's the thing: every time I sit down and talk to somebody like you, something new's happened.
I know, this is one of the reasons I wanted to do this show with you, actually. There's been quite a few things going on over the last year or so, hasn't there?
Loads of things, right? And we put them all to bed. I mean, a friend in America called Chant Hanna has investigated the recent CIA documents with Dr. Kit Green and Richard Dolan put out. And they got a brand new circus in town, and everybody started saying things, this is the new, smoking gun, and it's real, right? And my opening words were, this isn't the same film, right? If this is true and real, I don't know if they saw a real alien autopsy film. I don't know that.
That's out of your remit, isn't it? You don't know if there's a real, actual alien autopsy film.
And let's be fair, right? The original story we started off with the possibility that there could be an alien autopsy film, because there were bodies, apparently, and there was a crash, and they took the bodies. Well, you know what? If you're going to do an autopsy on an alien, are you not going to film it?
Yeah.
Right? So it's possible. That's never been a dispute. If there's a real film or not is not a dispute. What is a dispute is, it is not this film. It's no part of my film, and I doubt very much Santilli had a real film, because if he did, he would have shown it to me, and not this piece of rubbish that some people made in Milton Keynes, right? That we know about now, that they've come forward and it's a fake, right? So if he had it, he would have milked it to death and made a fortune from it. Not a little bit of money, a lot of money. But he didn't. What he did was, he came to a small bit filmmaker like me, right? I was the ideal candidate, because when I said to him I can make it, I had all the makings of making this film, right? my mum used to run a dressmaking factory. I had knowledge of making costumes, right? I used to help on a Saturday, and I knew about cutting patterns. I knew about how to make a costume. So I had that technique. I've been shooting cine films since I was 6. So I knew about making little films and cine films and stuff. At the time I met Santilli, I ran my own studio, right, professionally. So I had access to lots of stuff. I was working with a special effects outfit and John Humphreys. I'm a magician. So I know about how to build a path that I want to lead you down, right? To take you away, how to divert you from the reality. I know how
watch
to...
watch this head sort of thing.
Yeah, I know how to misdirect you. But I don't do it obviously, right? I did it in a very, very subtle way. And that's a good magician would do that. A good magician wouldn't say, "Oh, look at this hand over here." You don't make it obvious. You don't make any noises. You just do natural movements, and your eyes will follow the action, and you will follow what I want you to see. So that I was the ideal candidate for this film. Maybe the most qualified person out there to make this film. Not anything else. I'm not telling you I'm the best filmmaker in the world. I'm not telling you I'm the best magician in the world. I'm not the best of anything in the world. But you know what? I was the best for this film. Because a lot of my expertise in different areas fell in place. And I had the right contacts. I had the right wherewithal to do it. So, my sense of humour played a big part. You had to have a sense of humour to do it. But also, I had to have a logic. I had to have a logical mind and think outside of how I feel and think about how you would feel. What would you think? What would an expert think? I need these people all to be on side. So it's a lot more psychological than meets the eye. And my basis in psychology and my training in psychology is very high. So I'm all of those things. And yet I was under the radar. I wasn't Steven Spielberg. I wasn't you with me. Yeah. I wasn't somebody so visible that the first thing somebody would do is, "Oh, you know what? Let's see. I reckon Spyros made it." Yeah. You see? So I was absolutely invisible because we kept it that way. So it suited Santilli to the ground because I was anonymous. And I was too busy running my business to follow him. And when it was shown at the Science Museum for the first time, I had no knowledge that was going on. I didn't even know I wasn't invited. I didn't know it was there. The last thing Santilli wanted was me there.
Yeah, you can understand why, can't you?
That's right. So you can imagine after I started talking to people in the UFO community, like Philip Mantle, he started telling me about stuff that I had no idea about. I didn't know it was the enormity of what happened in the Science Museum. I didn't know about it.
Even Philip Mantle was taken in by it, wasn't he, at first?
Of course, at first, yeah. Well, when I met him, he'd written a book, and it was basically pointing at him not finding a reason why this can't be real. And then he had to rewrite it as soon as I came forward, and he rewrote it with a new chapter at the end.
After he'd seen all the evidence and everything,
Yeah. But Philip's seen more than most people, because he came to my house and I just pulled out loads of stuff, And he saw so much stuff because it's in my book, but, we were going to make another film. And I wanted to do this because it was the ultimate challenge for me. I wanted to make a film of the crash site with the alien spaceship and the bodies on the ground and actually have President Truman in the film.
Really?
Right? Because Santilli told people that he had film with President Truman in it. Right? And it was all embellishment just to give it a bit of credibility. Yeah. What would this... Well, this guy's told us he's got it. He's going to deliver it. He's got to show us it. But he never has, right? But the fact that he said it, there must be some credibility to it. So what happened was, I said to Ray, look, what we'll do is we'll cast my brother Peter, and we'll take a cast of his head, his face, John will sculpt President Truman in clay on top of Peter's face, and then we will make a mould, and the difference between Peter's face and Truman's face will be the gaps where we make latex prosthetics, right? And then those prosthetics get stuck onto my brother's face, giving him Truman's features. But what would happen is the mouth would work, and the eyes would work, and he would be a real person walking around, right? So all we had to do is put him in the uniform and hazy black and white footage, and it's Truman, right? His own mother would say it's Truman, right? So and we could do that. That's a level of, we could do that quite comfortably. And we got as far as designing the spaceship, casting my brother's head, and finding a disused go-kart track in Wembley, which was a massive hangar, you know, one of these big industrial sort of thing that you get a Tesco in, like a big that big, right? A big
like a warehouse
metal
type of thing, yeah. But it used to be a go-kart track. Okay, so what we would do is it had mounds and mud and stuff. So what I would do is put a massive backdrop, which would be actually painted to look like the distance, and it'll be out of focus. You get away with it because of the filming,
Yeah, and it'll be mountains and all sorts of stuff, like as you would see.
And obviously you wouldn't have to worry too much about the colours either, would you? Being in black and white again.
No, it'll be black and white, and it'll be out of focus. So basically, I would film it so the depth of field would set it out of focus, so the detail wouldn't matter. And I would have a spaceship which would actually be steaming. There'd be steam coming from it and smoke, and you would have look like heat, and you would have soldiers, and you would have a vehicle, you know, an army vehicle, and I established that I couldn't buy an army vehicle because somebody would know that I bought it. I couldn't hire one because somebody would know that I hired
also,
it.
With the soldiers, you have to make sure that they're all going to be kept quiet as well, aren't they? Yeah, then it would have to.
Well, yeah, but it would have been Greg, my brother, as Truman, and there would have been John Humphreys, and there would have been my ex-girlfriend, the same crew, everyone that was already involved, and that would be enough bodies. You know, you wouldn't need a lot of bodies. You would people walking in and out, a couple taking a body out on a stretcher. We had all this stuff organised, and we got as far as finding the place we're going to film it. We designed the spaceship. I designed the vehicle, because what we were going to do is we're going to buy an old Jeep, like a UK Jeep, Land Rover, and then I was going to actually make an American Jeep from it, just by adding things on top of so the vehicle would work, and it would look right, but actually it wasn't, and because you wouldn't be that close to it, so I had to investigate what the vehicles looked like. So I had all of that research in massive folders, you know, and Philip saw all of that. At the end, Chantilly got cold feet, and he said, you know what? He said, we're going to get caught, and this is pushing the boat out too far. Because from his perspective, it was taking a risk. Yeah. From my perspective, was a challenge, right? I was up for the challenge. He wasn't up for the risk.
He was actually thinking, even then, back along the different lines to what you were.
Of course, yeah. His agenda was totally different, and he decided that we shouldn't do it because we're going to get caught. It's going to be too much to get away with. Well, actually, I could have got away with it, and I wish I'd made it. You know, it would have been fantastic. One of our partners, a guy called Richard Perkins, he is a model maker, and he used to work with us very, very, you know, every day, you know, different things. And he's the guy that made, you know, the News at 10, when you see Big Ben, and it looks like a helicopter goes round Big Ben. Well, actually, Big Ben is actually a model that Richard made. Right. It's not the real Big Ben, right? So the original, and that's how good he was. And Richard was going to make the spaceship, and I said to him, look, it needs to be at least 20 feet across, and then what I would do is I would set it further back, So, and then we would put things in the shot which would look smaller than the real things, right? So that you would then gauge what's in the shot. For example, if you've got a vehicle and the vehicle is smaller than it really would be, because I was going to build a 6-wheel truck and make it out of a Land Rover, right? A 2-door Land Rover, which means that it would have been a lot smaller than the real truck would have been. But if you put the truck in the set next to the spaceship, that suddenly makes that spaceship twice as big, because the truck is twice as small.
Yeah. I've seen some of your pictures with the optical illusions anyway, with the the beams and everything.
Yeah. So it was all about playing with perspective and creating the illusion of a much bigger spaceship. Because if this is a fake, somebody's made a 50-foot spaceship, right? This is huge. And where would it be? And nobody saw it. Well, in a hangar in Wembley, right? But it wouldn't, that hangar wouldn't have taken a 50-foot one because it wouldn't have the height. You see? So we had to have it like a little bit in the ground, so it hit the ground, so part of it is wedged into the ground. And he was going to make this spaceship, and we had to make it so that we can move it around, so it's light enough, but looks convincing. And the way that he designed it, he was going to make it out of polystyrene. So it would have been polystyrene frame and then a tissue paper covering, like you would use on a kite. And then that tissue paper covering would have been spray painted. And it would have looked fantastic. It would have looked really, really convincing. So that's something. So Philip saw all of that. So why would I have all of this backing, all this back work, all this, if I wasn't somebody hoaxing films, if I wasn't doing. So, but he also saw other stuff. I lost.
Yeah.
So he was convinced, but as it happens now, there's lots of people still going around with their little theories and their.
What happened about the Linda Moulton Howe put up a video, didn't she? She actually had copyrighted your copyright.
Yeah, she put copyright Linda Moulton Howe. How the hell can you copyright my film? I don't know. But she'll get a rude awakening soon enough, because there's a massive list of. See, I've got to be very careful because I haven't got a lot of money to throw away, and when I say throw away, it's choosing your battles.
You mean risky?
Right?
Yeah, I understand.
Well, yeah, because I could sue somebody that hasn't got any money, and all I've done is spend a load of money to get nothing.
I know who you're talking about, but you say.
Yeah, I'm no better off, right? But there are people with money, but very well covered, right? And they would have had a very good argument as to why they did what they did, because Santilli told them they could.
And also, knowing you as I do, I don't think you're doing it for the money either. I think you're doing it for what you must be owed over the years that you've been put through this hell and torment that you must have been, which is, well, like I was saying to you earlier off air, the likes of myself and obviously lots of other people have found quite a lot of humour involved in all this, but for you it must have been hell all over these years.
Well, you know what, when people start calling you all the names under the sun and they defame you and they call you, they upset your mum, because my poor mum, she's on Facebook and she follows stuff and she sees stuff and she gets upset, bless her, right? When somebody calls me a liar and a cheat and a fraud and a this and a that, that's her son you're talking about, right? I can take it or leave it. So I know they don't know what they're talking about. They don't know me. They're just, but my mum takes it a different way. And when somebody wants to talk to your family, to interview them and then start stalking them, then you know what, that's now you've overstepped the mark.
Yeah. Right?
The other thing that, I'm not boasting, okay? Please don't take this the wrong way.
I know exactly what you are. You're not that type.
Yeah, but I'm not, I've never been short of anything. I've lived in mansions all my life nearly. since I left school, since I left my mum's house, right? I've always had a big house. I've always had lots of cars. They've always been fantastic cars. I love cars, right? So I've always had the cars I love. I've always been around, done my own thing, and I've had all the luxuries. I'm not short of anything. So to do it for the money, you know what? Everyone wants more money, right? But that isn't my motivation. I've not charged, and I'm going to say this publicly, I've not charged anyone to use my materials. I'll say that again. I've not charged anyone to use my materials. Okay? Now, I've had opportunity to charge, but I haven't. So I'm not in this to make money. I'm in it to get what's mine. I'm an artist and it's mine. It's my materials, my creation, and I want the recognition for it. I own it. Now, where it becomes monetary for me, and there's no reason not to, because I'm not setting out to say to people, give me money for nothing, right? Where a company has sold my materials and made money, well, then they need to give me some of that money.
And
they've made money.
So, yeah,
they've made money. So it's not like I'm asking them for money they haven't had. I want money they've had that should have been given to me. So that's fair play. That's only fair. So that's where I'm coming from. My motivation, I know my book is going to cost me money. I'm going to lose money publishing my book because I can't sell enough copies to make the money back because it isn't a public book. I might be wrong, I don't know. I'm not an expert, but I don't think the public's going to buy my book.
Well, I think you might get a shock there because I think it's good. I think Philip's book sold quite well, didn't it? The Roswell Alien Autopsy. And I believe that yours will too. I mean,
I don't think Philip got rich from it.
No, but I do think that I'm pretty sure that you will sell quite a few copies. I mean, we're talking about worldwide here, Spyros, aren't we? Not just talking about. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure you'll sell quite a lot in the States as well.
Well, I hope so because it said it cost me about $5,000. So I've got to recoup $5,000, and let's see. I'm going to do it anyway because it needs to be done. It needs to. It's those things that just needs to be like Philip says. It needs the lid put.
Well, what we're talking about your book? When is it due out?
I wanted to release it July.
In time for the show that unfortunately has got to be delayed. Yeah. So it will be available for May next year at least.
Well, definitely well before then. But the pressure's off July now because of the way the world's gone. But I also lost a total of 13 weeks during all the COVID stuff, where I would have been working on that had I not been sick, and I haven't been able to. And then since then, I've been working on this 2-hour live show every day, which takes all of my time. You can imagine. So, and I need to make space, like for interviews like this. I've engineered it to happen because I create 2 videos every day for the following show. So on this one, I'm actually 2 shows ahead now.
I'm very grateful you've taken the time out as well. Again, thank you, Spyros.
Well, I've just bought a bit of time. I'm 2 shows ahead, so I've been able to do that. So it's the book. It's never been. I'm not a writer, although I've written it. I'm not an author. And it's difficult when the goalposts keep moving. Yeah. And new evidence comes up, and you really need to include it. So if I publish that book, when let's say 10 years ago, there's so much more stuff happened since then.
I think you're at a point now where it's a reasonable thing to come out now, though, isn't it? Because I think I think you're coming to an end game now, aren't you? Where
well, I don't know if I am. The thing is, the Fox program, Fact or Fiction, is still being sold, and it's still being played. It was on telly last week twice.
It's ridiculous, isn't it?
It's on Netflix. And
we've still got people out there believing it's all real.
Yes, yeah. Because people that don't know about the story and they see fact or fiction, all of a sudden you've got a new load of people thinking, oh my God, this story.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. And they don't know it's not real. And it's all starting again.
You'd think really they'd put out a warning sign with it, was it? You know, it's been proven to be...
Well, they do. At the beginning, Jonathan Frakes says that what you're going to see is and you know, your judgment needs to be, you need to use your own judgment of what it is. It's got this disclaimer at the front. It's always has done. Now, this is what happened today.
Oh yes, this is where we came in, wasn't it?
Yes. This is, now, a gentleman called MacDonald, I've forgotten his, I've got to find it. His name's MacDonald, something MacDonald, I've forgotten now, and it was on a list, and somebody else was on there, Walford was on there, making comments, and they showed a couple of sketches, like new sketches, of Alien, and they also, this gentleman, MacDonald, said that it's very obvious to him and very clever of the filmmakers, because what they've done is they've taken a real human being who suffered from Turner's syndrome and a number of other ailments, and they've very, very cleverly added an extra finger on each hand and foot and toe on it, and they very cleverly added latex to that body and created this alien body. So it's very obvious to him that it's a real body.
I must tweet that out.
Yeah. So now it's a snuff movie.
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear.
It's turned into a different thing now. Now, the sketches that he showed, one of them is a sketch of my alien, but it's on a table with a tablecloth on it, right? Or like a white sheet. But it's a sketch, a pencil sketch, okay? And the other one is a sketch of a head. Nothing like, it's a very bad sketch of a head of an alien face. So I wrote to him today and I just said to him, Mr. MacDonald, I can see you've seen Alien Autopsy, Fact or Fiction, because you've got that information from Cyril Wecht, who said that he thinks this looks like a unfortunate female who suffered from Turner syndrome. So you must have got that information from seeing that program, and you don't realise that it's not real, okay? The whole body is rubber, okay? It's not a real body. None of it is. I said to him, the two sketches that you've shown there, I've not seen any of them before. I said, the one that shows the creature at the top is definitely my alien, so I can tell you unequivocally that that was sketched by somebody after they saw my film, right? I know that for a fact. So it's not, it can't predate my film. So I'm laying it out there. I'm putting it out there for you as a challenge. This is definitely sketched after 1995. And I also know it's a novice that sketched it, because they put the body on a white sheet, which you would never do, right? You would never put a body that's going to be bloody on a white sheet. So that's a novice that's done a little sketch, having seen my film. What you've done is you've taken two sketches that are unrelated, you've put them all together, and you've created a brand new reality, right? And that's all it is. But it's still there, though. It's still there. And Colin Walford has said in that little trail, he had to put a little dig at me, because I've claimed other sketches. Yeah. And other drawings that I've done, I've said they're mine. I did those, right? But he's said it as a little dig on the thread. He said, "I wonder who's going to claim the sketches now."
I think we should explain. Colin Walford is your long-standing nemesis, isn't he? No, do you know
what he is? Do you know what he is? I'll tell you what he is. He's a rash that you get in between your big toe and the toe next to it that itches every now and again, and you can't get your shoe off. That's what he is, right? I can take him or leave him. I don't have anything against him. He's irritating, right? He's seen facts and he's seen evidence, and he ignores it, and he just carries on banging the same drum. I don't know why he's in it. He can't be in it for the money, because he charges £5 to do talks in pubs and 3 people turn up. So I'm not being cruel. It's just
the way it is.
All of this is true.
Yeah.
All this is true, right? He recites and repeats things he's heard other people say. So nothing he says is from him. It's all rehashed stuff that other people have said.
I must say, when he was on that show with you on Chris Evans' show, he didn't come out with any sort of evidence whatsoever, did he? That when you did it with Philip Mantle,
he was given every opportunity to say.
It was quite embarrassing, actually.
Okay,
I thought.
Yeah, okay, Spyros. Look, you say that. Now I say this. Right? Not once did he do that. Not once did he say, I contest what you've just said because, right? He just kept saying, well, I don't believe it.
And you set out a few challenges for him to find certain things, wasn't it? One of them was the autopsy table and a few other things.
The suits, evidence of my film before 1995, evidence of the alien before 1995. That's a very good point, right? Anyone that's listening to this now, if you believe this is real, can you please tell me why this alien that you see in my film has not appeared anywhere in any literature, photograph, film, anywhere, not even in a discussion, right, before 1995. Right? My alien has got 6 fingers, 6 toes, no belly button, distended belly, thick neck, right? All these things, right? Show me another alien that looks like my alien before 1995. Didn't exist. So that's the ultimate.
And of course, again, you're not disputing that there could be an alien autopsy film out there somewhere, hidden away. You're not disputing.
How can I? There might be. The first thing I thought when Dr. Kit Green said we saw an alien autopsy in 1969, right? All I said was, all I do know for a fact is it isn't my film that he saw.
Yeah.
Right? That's all I can do. I can say that hand on my heart. I can't say he didn't see any film. I can't say he didn't see an alien autopsy film because he might have done, but he didn't see mine. And he didn't see anything like mine. For example, he didn't see that room, right? He didn't see that clock and that telephone and that table, right? He didn't see that layout.
They were all filmed in Camden Town, weren't they, in London? Yeah.
Now, that's another good point. I've just said to you, you won't see another alien like mine before 1995. But let me throw something else out to you. If this was genuine... If this was a genuine alien, right, autopsy, right, it was done in a room somewhere, right? We can accept that. So that room must exist somewhere. So if it was genuine, that room, regardless of the alien and the furniture and all the rest of it, must exist. That means those walls and that window and that layout must exist somewhere.
Like Area 51, for instance.
Well, I don't think it would be Area 51.
No, but I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's something similar to that. There would be that room that someone would be able to say, oh, I know where that is.
Yeah. I would imagine somebody would be able to say, well, here's another photograph. We did another thing in that room. Here it is. Right? But they didn't. They haven't. It doesn't exist. That room doesn't exist. It was designed by me, built by me, inside another room in Camden Town. Doesn't exist. So, even if you don't want to show me the alien, show me the room. If you can show me the room exists, right, then that goes a long way to prove that this film could be real. But you can't even show me the room. Forget the alien. The alien's not important. Show me the room. Because everything in that film has to be genuine. Something in there must be genuine. If there is a genuine thing in that room that you can show me that's fixed, then that gives that film credibility. But when you can't, you can't.
Yeah.
I don't know what I should do. Should I go and shut them up?
No, it's alright, carry on. It's alright.
Yeah. I don't know what somebody's at the door.
They'll shut up in a minute. I'm surprised mine have kept quiet, to be honest.
Mine will set them off. if they can hear me, mine will set them off. So I've laid down quite a lot of challenges, and a lot of them are common sense challenges, very easy to do, right? show me another fallout suit like the ones in my alien autopsy.
Yeah.
You can't. Right? Well, so you're telling me that these were specially made for an alien autopsy? That's a bit far-fetched, because they had them. Why would they specially make these ones? Right? And if they did make them, where are they now? Why are they not in a museum somewhere? Why are they not? No one. Did they use them again afterwards? So why are they not in another photograph? An unrelated thing, maybe a bomb explosion or whatever that might be. So they can't show me anything at all, because it didn't happen anywhere else. It only happened in this film. So the autopsy table doesn't exist anywhere else in the world. I've said it a million times. They can't find one. So in my book, I have got the sketch. I've got very detailed drawings of the set, the table, how the table was constructed, what it was made of, all those sort of things, all the insider bits.
Well, I should certainly be getting.
I'll give you a little bit now.
Be getting one anyway.
Well, yeah, I'll make sure of that. But it's the detail. As we all know, the devil is in the detail.
Definitely.
And here's something I'm going to put out for you again, because this is applies to Ray Santilli. The devil is in the detail, and if the detail is correct, it stands the test of time. If the detail is a lie, it comes out. Okay? So when I say something, what I'm actually doing is I'm exposing myself to being caught if I'm lying.
Yeah.
Okay? So every time I say something to you, it's on record. And then someone could later say, ha, it can't be, because you said this, but now we've discovered that. Okay? Now, I can do that with Santilli. I can say to Santilli, this cameraman doesn't exist. You know why? Because no cameraman we've found has got a basement in their house. Right? They haven't got a niece that got married. You said all these things, right? So I can now go back and dissect your evidence. Right? And the detail. That's the detail, right? The devil is in the detail. If we found a military cameraman whose niece got married in 95, or got married at all, right? He's got a niece and she got married and he paid for it. If we found a cameraman, forget the other details, right? That's good, right? That looks real now. It could be this guy. And if this guy had polio as a child, that's another detail that he must have had polio as a child. These are details that we can find out. But this man doesn't exist. So the devil is in the detail. I've given an awful lot of detail.
Oh, you definitely have. And it's always the same details. You don't change and everything on all the shows that I've heard you do, especially the one you did with me, which you went into more detail about how the film was made, which I can put a link out again to.
Yeah. The detail is the detail, right? Yeah. And I held back a few things, and I've decided now that I've added them to the book. And the reason I held them back is because I was a bit naughty in places, and it was a bit like saying, "Oh yeah, I'm the bank robber. I'm the guy that robbed the bank." Right? Well, then that never goes away, right? You're going to get arrested for that if you did something. I'll tell you what I did. It's okay. I don't think anything will happen. I needed wood, and I couldn't get it delivered in time. And there were people outside with one of these trucks, and they were putting for sale signs. The estate agent for sale signs up in the street, and they had loads of 2x2 wood on their truck. So they use it as a pole, don't they? They put the sign on, right? So I went up to the guys and I said, "Will you sell me some wood?" And they said, "Well, we're not allowed to." He said, because obviously we work for the company, so we're not allowed to. So I said, "Well, look, this is how it's going to be. If you don't sell me the wood, you're going to leave, and I'm going to just take down all the signs that you put up, right? And I'm going to use that wood, right? So I'd rather not do that to you. So just sell me the wood. I'll give you some money, and So I said, he said, how many do you need? I said, I need 40 lengths. And he said, all right, well, what do you think? I said, I'll give you 20 quid each. Right? And he said, all right then. right? So I gave them 20 quid each, and I took the wood off the thing. Now, strictly speaking, that's a bit naughty, right? And I didn't want to admit to it before, but you know what? It happened, and I didn't steal them, right? I did give them money for them, so I'm now going to rest my laurels on. It was those two guys on the lorry that did the wrong thing.
Yeah, you just got to hope their bosses are not going to hear this.
Well, you know what? It's 20. How many years ago?
Oh, it's got to be
right.
20.
Yeah. And I don't know what estate agents it was.
It's quite a comical story though, anyway.
Isn't it? It's funny. But that's true though. It's true. I use that stuff to make all the walls, the sets. I made the flat walls. I made the autopsy table out of it. And here's the thing, right? I said that once, and somebody called me out on it, and they said, we caught you, right? How can it be made out of wood, square wood, when the autopsy table's got round legs? Right? Well, that's because it's got tubes over the top, right? I've got carpet tubes.
Yeah,
you know,
the cardboard
carpet
I remember you saying.
Yeah. Yeah, I use those because I wanted to make this table look like it was proper, right? If it was a machine-made table, the most difficult thing to do if you haven't got a machine is to make a round anything, right? Now, if you've got big, chunky, circular legs on a table, that has to be machine-made. So it takes it another step away from it being homemade. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah. If I made it out of 2x2 bits of wood, and you saw it, you would say, that looks like somebody made it at home. Right? So, but nobody needed to touch it because it was in a film, right? So all I did was I had to cut a slit because the sidebars, there was bars holding the legs from opening outwards, right? So I couldn't just slip the tube up the leg because the bar would get in the way. So I had to cut a slit. And I put the tube around the leg, but painted it matte black. And because it was matte black, I then highlights with the silver spray, and it just looked like it was made out of metal. And people assume that the whole table is made out of metal. And why wouldn't they? But underneath it all, it was really quite flimsy. It wasn't a heavy duty thing because it didn't need to be. But as I say, all the drawings of how I made it and the scale of how I made it, it's all in the book. Another thing that now that we're talking about new things, okay, something that you wouldn't have heard of, and I'll just throw it out for you. The body of the alien was 5 foot tall. Okay, that's because my godson Michael, John Humphrey's son, was 5 foot tall. 10 years old, by the way, at the time, and he's 5 foot tall. He's now 6'7". Right? They're all tall in John's wife's family. They're all over 6'6", 6'7". They're all very tall. Isabel was 6 foot and 5'11" and a half. You know. So that's why it's 5 foot tall. But we wanted it to be about that height because that's what aliens. Now, if we didn't have to mould Michael, it would have been a bit shorter or a bit longer. It would have been whatever, right? But 5 foot is where it had to start off because that's how tall Michael was. Now that then made me have to make a table which took a 5 foot body. Normally, the autopsy table would be made for a man, the tallest man, right? So that it would have you could have any body on there and it would be big enough for it. So you could have a 6 foot man, a 6'6" man, you could have a 5 foot man. When I say man, woman as well, right? Okay. But it had to be a universal table to take all sizes, right? So here's what my dilemma was. I built the table out of a metal sheet, which came as 6 foot length by 4 foot width, right? So I couldn't have a table longer than under 6 feet because I had to fold over the last bit 4 inches to the lip that you could see at the end of the table. So it had to look like all one piece, right? So I bent the table 4 inches, so you take 4 inches off 6 feet, and that's your length of the table.
Yeah,
you with me?
With you.
Right. Now, if you know the body of the alien is 5 foot, and you've got 5'6", right, which is the length of the table, you've only got 6 inches left. So if you put the alien where it would normally be, where the body would be, it would be in the middle of the table. But I had to put my alien all the way up to the other end, to the edge of the table, so that it gave me a 6 inch gap between the feet and the end of the table. Otherwise, it would be too small.
Yeah.
Right? So the illusion is that the table is bigger than it really is. But when you look at the table, you will see that the head of the alien is right on the edge at the end of the table. Now there's a shot where I filmed behind the head when they were cutting the skull open. Nobody's looking at the table because everyone's looking at the head of the
waiting for the brain to come out, yeah.
That's right. So the diversion is, and I could have put anything in that little thing, and you would not see it because you're looking at the wrong thing, right? But now that I've told you, if you look, you will see that there wasn't enough metal to bend down. So what you see is bare wood. You see the wood, right? You can actually see it's bare wood painted. And you can see it clearly. Now that I've told you, you'll see it clearly. So if it was a genuine table, it would have the metal all the way around. Right? Be perfectly made. So there's a little bit more information for you.
Well, let's hope Mr. Wolf was going to be listening to this. He can perhaps check that out.
Yeah, but he won't listen to it. That's the thing. He won't listen to it. He will say, well, you would say that.
That's right. Yeah, that's kind of the usual answer, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. Now, we have established that the alien autopsy film is fake. We know that. Santilli has admitted it is fake. Okay? So where Wolford started off saying I wasn't even there, Santilli has said that I was. But he still maintains that I wasn't, anything to do with it.
Man in Black as well.
Yeah. So that story still runs, but you can't have it always. Either is what Santilli says it is or it isn't. If you're going to buy the story Santilli gives you, that there was real film, then you must buy the story Santilli gave you that I was involved. And I've shown footage of me with John and Santilli. I've shown a photograph of me, John and Santilli together after we made the alien, right? Because we became friends, right? So we were at a Christmas do the following year. So it was Christmas 1995. So turning 96. And it was me, John and Santilli at a table at a Christmas party. And John's got hair, right? He's got thick curly hair. Now that's very, very, very important because today John is completely bald, right? Shaven. When he did the alien autopsy for the Anton Deck film, he was shaved bald, right? And yet I've got photographs of John sculpting the alien with thick curly hair.
That's quite an important factor, isn't it?
Yes, because if he's got thick curly hair, it's not now. It wasn't the Anton Deck film that he was working on.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's what they're saying now. They're saying John sculpted an alien for the Anton Deck film. That's what those photos are.
God. Yeah.
Right? Well, no, because Michael. Now I can't prove you this because unless you know Michael, and I need to get Michael involved. And believe me, the last thing they need is this circus, right? But Michael, at 10 years old, is in the photograph, right? So it wouldn't take much to establish that's Michael at 10 years old. Here are other pictures. There's other pictures of Michael at 10 years old. Yeah. And therefore, this is it was 1995 when he was 10, right? So therefore, that was 1995 when the alien was being made. Right? It's very easy to do.
I mean, put all this in a courtroom and it'd just go through and be thrown out, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that's when it will be done, right? So, because I've said to John, very openly, because John and I are friends, okay, and no matter, I know he's got to cover Santilli's story because he's too deep in it, and he thinks that he might get in trouble because what Santilli's done is wrong. And I tried to explain to him, John, you haven't done anything wrong. Santilli did it all. You didn't do it. You wasn't there when Santilli was selling the film. You wasn't there what he was telling people.
That's right. He never entered into it to film anybody apart from to work with you, did he? So.
Yeah. So I said to him, nobody's asked us, is this a real alien? And not once have we said yes. Right? Now you're saying you saw real film. You're now becoming part of the problem. So I said to him, but here's the bigger problem I've got. You and I have sat down together and designed the alien. If you say there was real film, then you cannot claim copyright because you copied it. So if you don't claim it, I'm claiming my copyright, John. So I'm asking you now, if you don't claim your copyright and you say there's real film, you're not getting your share because you cannot by default. So I'm being fair with you. I want you to have your half. Yes or no? No, well, no, you've got to go ahead and do what you've got to do. I can't change. I'm not going to talk to anybody now. I'm not going to do any more interviews. I'm just going to go lay low and I'm not going to talk about it anymore. I said, so please don't come back to me later and say to me that I've somehow stitched you up. Right? Because I haven't. No, I'm making the decision. I don't want any part of it. It's yours. Go ahead. Right? I give him credit where his credit is due, but the copyright is 100% mine. Because he gave it to me. I've got it. I've got that registered, right? And I've got evidence of that. So I did the right thing, right? I don't want to be accused of having stolen somebody's copyright.
Of course not.
Right? So I've done the right thing. What will happen in the court of law is John will be called as a witness. And sadly, Michael will be called as a witness. As much as I wouldn't want to, but he's a grown man now, you know.
Well, he's not in trouble for anything, is he? He's just got to say what he saw and, you know.
Yeah. No, he's not in trouble. He's not in trouble, but they don't want to be involved. I appreciate that. I accept that. My ex, for example, she didn't want to be involved, and I've kept her out of it all this time. And if I can avoid it, I will avoid bringing her into it. But I don't think it's necessary to bring her into it because there's enough without her. But John will be called in, obviously, and under oath, John's got to say what he's going to say, and he knows at that point it's D-Day. He knows if he's got to be in court under oath, it'll be his own skin over Santilli's skin, and he won't. At that point, he's going to stop backing Santilli. All right, but until there's no pressure on, he's going to just stick where he is. So I think Santilli's kept him in pennies, and you know, I don't blame him. You know, John is an artist, and he had twins. Right now, you bring up twins on an artist's money. Okay. I know 20 grand here, 10 grand there is going to go a long way.
Hey, he's kept him on side, like you say, you know, to keep him on side.
Yeah. So I don't blame John, at all. Not in the slightest. I have no malice. He did me wrong. The biggest thing that he did that was wrong, and he apologised for it. And he told me he doesn't blame me for anything that I might do now. And I'm not going to do anything horrible. But the one thing that he did do is he was under a promise that he would not talk about the alien autopsy to anybody. And he went to Bob Kiviat through an agent. Bob Kiviat made the Fox program in America. And he went to him and said, the agent said, I know the guy that made the alien autopsy. Do you want to do a TV program? What will you pay him? So they tried to do a deal without me, direct, with Fox. And my name was mentioned by John to Bob Kiviat. So Bob Kiviat said, well, you know, where was it filmed? How was it filmed? What the film camera did you use? What he said to him, well, I don't know any of that stuff. You need to speak to Spyros. Right? So my name was in the mix right back then. But John did go behind my back and try and do a deal, which is where he wronged me. I have forgiven him since. I don't blame him. I told you, I don't blame him. He's got kids, right? He's got a family support. And if we're fair, he was promised to have a documentary made and we're going to make money out of it. And 10 years later, nothing happened. Right? Or even 2 years later, let's not go too far. Nothing happened, and he's thinking everyone's making money but me.
You all sold down the river, weren't you? The whole team, really.
Yeah. But he doesn't know that I wasn't making money, you see. He might have thought, I must be making money. Oh, I see.
He thought that he was being left out of the deal. Yeah.
Yeah, and he thought, I'm the only one not making any money. Fuck it, I'll sell it.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's one. Yeah. He'll say, I'll sell it and make money too. So I don't blame him, because the circumstances were so unusual, and our friendship was tested. And as I say, we're still friends. Nothing's wrong. Nothing's untoward. I've told him that I've got to do what I've got to do to secure my own situation. And I said to him, and if I've got to expose you, John, I'm going to do it. So I'm telling you now, you've got a choice. If you want to side with Santilli, that's fine, but bear in mind, I am going to expose you.
Yeah.
And you'll go down in history as the guy that lied, right? And that'll be, and I said, it's your choice. And I think half of him thought, you know what, he's bluffing, he's not going to do anything. That's what I think.
Well, I think when it does hit court, I think I'll have to be there.
Well, yeah, listen, it's going to be interesting, but I promise you, and here's the big deal, right? How can I make you this promise? I promise you, there will be no court case.
You don't think so?
Right? No, and I'll tell you why. Because no lawyer in their right mind is going to talk to Santilli and say, show me the film. I haven't got any film. Ray, you're going to lose this. Don't be stupid.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from there. Yeah.
You can't go to court with no evidence. We haven't got a case. And Ray will go, oh, well, I'm going to fight it, and don't worry, we'll get there and we'll wing it. And the lawyer, the barrister will say, mark my words, you can bluff it right up to court day. But when it gets to court day, we have to fold. Because if the judge knows we've gone into court knowing we are peddling a lie, this is going to be very serious. Right? So I cannot go into a court knowing we're peddling a lie. Now, if he says to the barrister, well, I haven't got any real film, but there was real film, and he stays with that, so the barrister thinks, okay, my client is telling the truth, so I'm not peddling a lie, I'm still going to lose this, Mr. Santilli, because I haven't got any evidence. As much as I want to believe you, the judge has got to come to a conclusion, right? And you don't have any evidence. Because we need to produce real film. We need to produce something credible. And he hasn't got it. So there won't be a court case. He might string it up to the date of court, and they'll make a settlement out of court.
Yeah. How much longer can he string this out for, do you think?
Well, as long as I let him, because I haven't done anything about it. I've got to do what I've got to do. Now, time is now, as soon as the lockdown's over, we're ready to go. He's done an awful lot of things. He's licensed the footage to another company that's not his.
Yeah.
That company put my footage into libraries who are selling it.
Yeah.
Right? So I now have to go after a company that's got nothing to do with me or anyone else or the film, who believe they've genuinely licensed the film from somebody who owns it. So they've done nothing wrong, right? So if it got to court with them, all they're going to do is say, well, look, here's the contract we've got with Santilli. We've done nothing wrong. We can now see Mrs. Melaris owns the film, so we owe Mr. Melaris the royalties, but we've given it to Mrs. Santilli, right? And the judge will say, you paid the wrong person, so you've got to pay Mr. Melaris, but you've done nothing wrong. It has to get lifted from where they've got it, selling it, so they've got to come off the market. But Santilli's still a loose cannon.
Yeah.
So I think,
yes.
And Santilli's he's thrown up a lot of smoke screens that make me look like I'm a liar, I'm a bad person. Contracts, and he's put up. He said that I doctored a contract. He actually planted it in my office, right? And why would I look at it again? right? He switched the contract. He actually switched. He was in my office, left alone quite a lot for a long time. Because we used to work on projects. We did John Lennon. We did the Beatles. We did a lot of stuff, right? The Irish tenors, Christmas tenors. We did loads and loads of programs together. So he was in my studio all the time, and so that's all that is. But be that as it may, I'm not even gonna talk about that. I'm gonna say, you know what? Put that aside for a second. Let's talk about the film, because that's what we're here to talk about. We're not here to assassinate my character, right? Right? Let's assume I'm the worst person in the world, right? Let's leave that there. Let's look at the film. Stop diverting the traffic. Stop diverting the attention. Let's not talk about me. Let's talk about the film. And that's what I started to do now, because I started to go down the road of talking about me, and it hasn't served me very well, because it becomes an ugly can of worms that's been opened up.
Well, it's always the way that an enemy will try to deflect away, isn't it? By actually concentrating on the person themselves rather than the facts.
Yeah. I did an interview for a guy for a book that Ray employed, and he had a tape recorder running, and I told him the whole story. I told him that Ray showed me some film, and it wasn't real, right? And I then said I could make it properly. I told him the whole story as it is. Then what Ray did, he took those cassettes and he cut them around, so that what you hear is, I told the guy that I saw Ray showed me real film. So that's what you assume. I say Ray showed me a film of an alien autopsy, and then I had to recreate it. Right? So all of a sudden, there was real film, and Spyros said there was real film. No, there wasn't. Listen to the entire thing, and it says, I told him it was fake the minute I saw it.
Yeah.
But they cut those bits out. So they did a classic.
Oh, yeah. You cut and shut. Yeah.
Cut and snip. Yeah. So he's been using that against me in the UFO community, and if you don't know me, people listen to that. They say, you see, he admitted there was real film, he did this, he did that, there was a fake contract, well, you know what? That's how he's positioned it.
And then unfortunately you'll get some followers, like, for instance, Colin Wolfer, who will put out stories against you, and people will believe them. Because they, or follow their reasoning without actually looking at the facts.
Yeah. So now I've learnt my lesson, which is not to entertain those conversations and just say, forget me, my character assassination, forget me, let's see your film, please. Right? That's where it ends. Yeah. That's where it starts. That's where it starts and where it ends. I can be the biggest bastard in the world, doesn't matter. Show me your film. That ends the conversation. You haven't got any film? Okay, great. Well, you haven't got any film, doesn't exist. Okay, well, I did have it, and it's... Alright, well, show me somebody who's seen it before it was destroyed. Well, Bob Shell. No, Bob Shell never saw anything with alien footage on it. Right? He never saw an alien on the footage, because I know, because I was there. Right? He was given a baseball game. He was given a couple of steps and a doorway. And he went off and he said, the footage I've seen so far, he didn't say with alien on it. And if you ask him, he never saw a film with alien on it. Right? So show me somebody else who saw the film before it was destroyed. No one. Why didn't you get it tested properly? Well, I don't know what the answer is to that. I've never heard an answer. Because I saw a program a few days ago. It was a very old one from 1995. And he's on a panel on a program, and they say to him, well, have you had the film tested? He goes, oh yeah, I've given the film to lots of people, and lots of people have tested it, and I get requests every single day, and if I gave everybody film to test, I would have no film left. Right? Yeah. That's what he said. He's given it to all these people. Well, just give me one of those people. Just show us one of those people who's tested the film. Doesn't exist. So yeah, there won't be a court case because there can't be. Without evidence, there is no case.
It's a very complicated thing. I mean, anyone listening to this who can actually understand how complicated it's been over the years, and what you've been through over the last 25 years or so. It's been hell, I would have thought. And hopefully, a lot of when you do this presentation in Woodbridge next year in May, hopefully you'll be able to make that clear for a lot of people who will be interested in this whole ongoing saga.
Well, I'll be there to answer every and any question. I've never hidden from anybody, ever, right? If you ask me a question, I'll answer you. If I don't know, I just tell you I don't know. You know, I don't lie. I don't make it up. I don't say, oh, well, you know, if I know, I know, right? And most of the time I do know if it's to do with the film. If you ask things like, you know, Richard Dolan and Kit Green, you know what? I don't know. I wasn't involved in that. I have no knowledge of that. It's got nothing to do with me. You know, I'm not in that
you're
world.
Interested is your film. You know what you know that yours is your film, and that's it. Yeah.
And when I make a statement, I do like I did with you just now. I make it categorical, without any slippery, slidey, anywhere I can't wriggle, right? I make a specific statement. This sketch was done after 1995. Absolutely. That's it. My reputation on the line there. You can now go away, destroy me, right, if I'm wrong. Right? And I do that all the time. I put it on the line. I say, there you go. This is what I'm saying. And it's my last thing on it. I'm not going to deviate. That's the fact.
Well, everyone will be able to see, you know, everyone who wants to come to the, what we're going to call it, a conference or show or whatever we want to call it, will be able to see all that.
Yeah.
And are you planning to do any more apart from the Woodbridge show conference?
Yeah, well, I've been asked to do quite a few, and I think I'm going to do one in Turkey.
Oh, that's good.
I'm going to do one in either Vegas or Los Angeles. I've been asked to go to America. I don't know if New York's on, but I'd like to do the rounds while I'm stateside. But definitely a couple in America. And I've been asked to do one in Germany.
That's great news. I mean, the thing is, I mean, it could well be a couple of year world tour you might be doing in the end.
Yeah, I'm going to do, in the UK, I've been asked to go to Scotland, but here's the problem, okay? There's no money in it for me unless I get at least my expenses. And if I go to Scotland, for example, they're going to give me 300 quid, but I've got to put myself up in a hotel. And I've got to get myself up.
So that money's gone straight away, hasn't it?
It's gone, and I'm now spending my own money. But if I can do a proper show, because this is for a skeptic society in Scotland. And I don't know if you know Willie Kay. Do you know Willie Kay from the Fortean group?
Yes, I have heard that name. Yeah.
Well, Willie's asked me to do something in Scotland, and I want to do it. And he's got a group up there that will host it. And I want to do it. So what I'm going to try and do is put together a paid show in Scotland and then one for them.
Yeah, like a little sideline.
For their group. And then that would work, you see, then I wouldn't have to be out of pocket to go up and do it. I have played on doing the Edinburgh Festival, you know, because it'd be very interesting to do a comedy version of it. Because it's very funny. I mean, the shit that's gone down is funny.
This is what I tried to say to you earlier. It's amusing for people like us. I mean, amusing, but also very frustrating, you know.
Yeah.
But we it is obviously, you've seen the funny side of it yourself a lot of the time, you know.
You know what? You've got to laugh. You've just got to laugh. Because it's, you know, the CIA.
I'll tell you what, it's going to make an amazing movie if it ever reaches the big screen.
That's what we need to be. That's where we need to be. And we have to watch that space. But where it's going now, yes, I'm going to do a few, as soon as this lockdown thing's over, you know, people are talking about the new normal. Well, you know what? There is no new normal. It's going to be normal or not, right? It has to be normal because what we're going to do, live our rest of our lives. I
can't live under a new normal. No.
No. So a lot of us are going to give up and just say, we're going to go out and do.
Yeah, so I'll bleep that out later.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, bleep it out. So my friend Daryl, that's his job, you know. He's the guy that invented and does the bleeping. So on live shows, he sits there, and the show is delayed by a few seconds. So if somebody swears, he's got 2, 3, 4, 5 seconds to press the button, right? And he's there live, pressing the button when people swear.
Well, I suppose that's the advantage of this being recorded and not going out live, isn't it? Because if it's live, we've had it.
Yeah. So let's pick up again. So I'm gonna do a tour, and you know, I'm open for offers. You know, I'm not out to milk anybody. I'm not out to steal from anybody. If I've got my book, great. That'd be a great reason to take it around and promote.
Well, the thing is, Spyros, I've got connections, and now I know that you would be interested in doing it. I will actually put feelers out and see if anyone listening to this show, obviously, if they would like to get Spyros on board and try and do a show in their area, it'd be fantastic.
Great. I mean, I've done the shows that I've done at the moment. I've done 3-hour show. And the 3-hour show is always left with people with their hands up and having not had their answer. So I then thought, you know what? I could probably do a whole day with a break. So I could do a morning start up, a 3-hour, have lunch, and then a 3-hour. Right?
As I say, I think our Woodbridge one is probably about a 3-hour show, is it? Something like that? Yeah.
Yeah. And I've got loads and loads of video footage and lots of diagrams and photos and all sorts. So if somebody asked me about any specific part of the film, I could show them. So that's the idea. And I kind of start off the show by setting out the groundwork, telling them what's what, and then there'll be questions. But the questions happen and the audience guide the show the direction they want to go. So if there's somebody in the audience wants to know more about the table, the suits, if they want to know more about Santilli even, you know, I will embellish a specific subject.
And obviously it's all going to be in your book anyway, which hopefully you'll have a few copies for sale.
Yes, I hope so. Anyway, that's all good. That's all good.
Right, but, well, just before we pack up, thank you so much for taking all this time out, Spyros. I think this is my epic show. I think it's the longest one I've done so far. But
I told you this is an ending.
I know it's never ending. It's going to no about something else will happen tomorrow. But, just before we pack up, you've got a page on Facebook which everyone can follow called the Alien Autopsy Fact Files. That's right. So if anyone wants to check that out, you do try to keep it updated, and everyone puts their little pennyworth in, don't they, about what's going on. And
you can. You're quite welcome to join. I ask people to be civil. I mean, I have had people go in there like Wolford. I haven't banned him. You know, he's banned me from his group, but I haven't banned him from mine. He's quite vocal, and all I ask is please be civil. I will answer all your questions. I've never not answered anybody. So if you want questions answered on the group, I'm quite happy to do that. And then the rest of the people in the group can also benefit from your questions. So,
I mean, his one is actually on the basis that the alien autopsy is real, isn't it? That's kind of where his
That's right. And there's no deviation. There's no evidence. There's no nothing. He keeps using my film. I mean, somebody took my film and they colorized it. Okay, so they're too stupid to think. You know, that it's exactly the same film, and it's obvious that all you've done is colorize it, right? Because there's nothing new in it. It's exactly frame by frame by frame, exactly the same stuff, right? So it's my film colorized. Wolford put it out. Aha! New evidence. There was colour film.
Well, oh dear.
Right. So I said to him, well, watch what I do next, right? And I had it taken down, right? That was it, gone. Right? If it was real and it was colour film and it wasn't my film, it would be still there. Right? It just got removed immediately because it's so obvious. It's just so, you know.
Well, there you go. Once again, everyone listening out there, you can see how complicated and everything this whole issue is, and it's as I say, it's entertaining in its own way, but also it's a very important thing to don't always take things as you see them sometimes on the internet, because they don't always turn out to be what you think.
What we say is question everything, believe nothing. Right? Only believe it when you see the evidence. Right? If you want to be fair, you can keep an open mind, but don't go preaching that it's real until you see the evidence.
And on that note, Spyros, thank you ever so much for your epic show today.
Thank you. I would like to say the pleasure was all yours.
Yeah, it was, absolutely.
No, I'm joking. It's a pleasure, and you're one of the good guys.
I try to do my best, and probably not right all the time, but
you're doing great. No, you're doing a great job though. So well done, and
thank you,
keep it up.
So you're very kind words, but yeah, it's my biggest epic show, this one.
Oh wow,
that's excellent.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
Take care of yourself, Spyros. I'll see you soon.
Bye
Take care.
Bye.
Cheers. Bye. Right, you've been listening to Paranormal Dimensions. I'm David Young on the Paranormal UK Radio Network. Thanks for listening, and tune in again next week. Thank you.
Paranormal Dimensions is as bright and powerful as our celestial star, the sun. And although it's expending thousands of pounds of energy every minute of the day, have no fear. There's plenty left.
Paranormal Dimensions is a regular feature on Mondays on the Paranormal UK Radio Network.